That was so unfucking smooth.
I'm Sam.
Sam, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I just wanted to make sure because I heard you were about to turn on.
We are now filming and starting. You just walked right into the podcast. So
I'm sorry, I was just making sure Cassius was because he hasn't eaten breakfast.
he is okay.
Or
We'll
gone out.
we'll send him away when.
Just bring him up if you needed to.
Okay. Yeah. You are now officially part of this podcast.
Now he's so happy.
You trying to get some breakfast, bro?
So happy.
He's around his boys.
Upstairs if you get hungry, okay? Okay, buddy. Did you
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, Miss Heidi, we're gonna get this going.
No worries.
Nice to meet you.
We can do one of two things. We can start it again, or we can just roll with it.
Just roll with it.
All right, we're rolling with
Why
it.
not?
All right. Friction and Smoke, episode 2.
Episode 2.
So I've got a couple.
Yeah, pull that out.
I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna pull out.
Smooth.
There we
That
go.
was nice.
So this is our guest, Sam.
That's the one.
I don't think I've called him. I don't.
I didn't even know that was your real name.
I'm pretty sure I've called
Well,
you
yeah,
Sam
that's right,
like 5 times.
It has been a handful of times.
One handful. So this is our episode number 2 featuring Sam. But is it Skorheim? Or
Yeah.
is it like
Skorheim.
Skorheim?
Skorheim.
Skorheim?
Or Shorkum. Many people
Shorkum.
say Shorkum.
That's your last name?
Skorkum. Is
Skorkum.
It's often. Skorheim, though.
Skorheim. Okay.
Do you know the where's that name from?
So we...
Everett, bro.
it's very native Everett.
North End.
It's Norwegian. I'm pretty certain it's Norwegian.
Okay.
I think there's an area in Norway called Skorheim, but I don't know if there's any relation to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we could have one of two. Because he was asking me what you're into, and I was like, White Claw and Weed. So we could either call this episode White Claw and Weed,
It's a good name.
or we could call it Sawblade, the Random Fact Generator.
Well, there's also that. That's also
Yeah.
fun.
I'm excited to learn about either. So
So Sawblade, and I'm sure he'll get into why people call him Sawblade, but because I can never remember, I just know that that's what I call him.
see that, Mike? You're so top heavy with that thing. It's embarrassing.
It's just like my body, so it works.
Can we just take 5 and talk about our bodies for a second?
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about balding, right?
There's some dudes hanging out talking about our bodies. It's natural and beautiful.
Yeah, it's body positive.
Body positive. I think. Oh, you're not going to be able to scoot back over.
What's going on?
6 inches. Sawblade's just getting cut off a little bit, but that's okay.
Oh.
Here, I can pull it.
Pardon me, bud.
He's like, no,
don't mean
you're
to
taking me
displace
from
you.
my friend.
There you go.
There we go.
There it is.
We're still
Oh,
here.
look.
We're still
All right.
together.
We're still in. He's pretty easy.
he requires
Yeah.
payment.
You just gotta tickle his armpits and tell him nice things.
So, but yeah, so I can never remember why you're called Sawblade, but, I totally lost track with that.
That's all right.
Whatever.
It's all right.
We'll just keep going.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll keep rolling. We've already got like 10 minutes of pointless content.
Boom. Ready to go.
Oh yeah, so he's like a walking Snapple can, or no, I guess technically a jar.
Jar. Yeah, good.
The glass bottle.
Bottle.
Yeah, I'd say bottle is probably
Bottle.
the
I'd
word.
say bottle.
It's like if you mix a can in a jar.
Yeah,
You have a bottle.
What do they call that thing when you? It's not a can and it's not a jar.
What
It's
is
a
that?
jam.
Glass and it's got
Glass. It's got a lid.
God, I just can't.
Beverages
Somebody needs to
and other
figure out a
things
name
come
for
out
one
of
of
it.
those things.
Jan.
If we could
it's
come
a
up with a name,
jam.
we'd be rich.
Guys, Jan.
Oh, it's a Jan.
It's a Jan.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
it's Jan. Pop or top or whatever.
Classic.
Classic. No, glass. It's made of glass.
Glass.
Classic.
Okay. So, Friction and Smoke, episode 2. Our first guest
Yes.
in the studio, which is great.
Number one guest right here.
You're christening a new set of headphones.
Mm-hmm.
We got a new setup here.
Comfy cozy.
Comfy cozy, right?
Burrito
thanks for
likes
coming
you.
in. Yep. Cassius is India. We got Cassius as well, as always. Even though he hasn't eaten breakfast, so he might take off for a little bit, eat his breakfast, and come back. We'll see.
Yeah, bud.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So, Sawblade. I guess we could just begin.
Yeah.
Or should we?
Well, how do you guys know each other? I think that's.
You know what's interesting about that? So we didn't start hanging out until Chris started working with
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
But it was
Adrian.
yeah, I don't know how long it was before. I think it was like maybe like 5 or 6 months or something
Yeah.
before we hung out. My buddy Adrian, who sang for my old punk band, he was at the mall, and we were like hanging out after that. And he's like, "Dude," and I think did he have an RKL shirt on or something like that?
No,
it was some punk band shirt.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was Suicidal.
Okay, yeah. So he comes through. He's like, I'm walking through the mall, and this guy knew who it was, which is like fairly rare to walk through a mall and like somebody knows like who
Especially a
Suicidal is or
guy
something
wearing
like
a tie and
yeah.
selling cell phones.
Yeah.
Oh, were you selling cell
Oh,
phones
I
in
was
the mall?
slinging them.
Oh yeah, kiosk and everything.
Yeah.
The
I was
kiosk job is like my worst nightmare.
Yo,
In a mall.
that was my first time. I was like, yo, I'm just talking to people and making money.
Okay.
And so I'd be like, hey, what kind of phone do you have? That's exactly what they train you. They say, what kind of phone do you have? And then people would actually stop and talk to you. You're like, hey, phone.
I keep a wide berth on
Yeah.
those kiosk. When
Oh,
I see
yeah.
those kiosk dudes and gals. No
Yeah,
offense.
but I mean, those. Yo, there's those dudes who just come up and start rubbing your hand. There's a lotion.
yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. I hate being rude. Like I feel so awkward. Like if they're talking to me and I'm just like going around. So yeah, you got to keep a wide berth
You have
so
to.
so they don't single you out. Because if they do, I'm still not going to talk to them. But I feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But like, don't do that to me. That's my day. Don't make me like feel bad. Mind your own business.
So, Adrian,
Oh yeah.
I saw him
Yeah.
wearing a Suicidal Tendencies shirt, and I was like, dude, you probably skateboard and you listen to punk music. Me too.
What kind of phone you got?
Exactly. It's like, let me sell you some phones.
How did we not cover your mall kiosk job when in like 4 hours of talking to you before?
There is so much of my life we didn't cover.
Okay,
Phil.
fair enough. Anyway, so you met his friend
Yeah.
at a mall because you guys
Alderwood Mall in Linwood.
all okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and that was the first I heard of Ben, but we never met at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we had met at a party after that, and
Yeah.
then Adrian was like, "That's the dude."
He's like, that's the dude. So, our buddy Chris Mintkin, he started working for me, and he was like, dude, you like punk music? I was like, come on, bro. And he's like, oh
No,
wow,
I hate
you have tattoos, because I didn't have my hands tattooed at that time. I was like 19 or something, 20 years old, and Chris was like, oh man, you're covered in tattoos, and so somehow we got talking about punk music, and he was telling me about the Bronx, and then he was like, my buddies throw this awesome punk party every year, and everybody just gets shit faced and like plays punk rock music in his house. It was like, sounds like a great time. Where are we going?
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic time. But that's where we met.
Then
Yeah.
you guys met at a party, and then
he started apprenticing at Sunken Ship,
Yeah.
okay.
and he was like, I was like, dude, tattoo me.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to do some practice work, so
this shark skateboarding the wave.
Yeah.
That was like 3 like
dude, it took
6
so
hours.
long.
it was like 20 hours of tattooing.
It was our word and how long that took.
How long would it take now to do the same tattoo?
Well, just recently, how long did that take? We relined and we did more color than was initially there.
Yeah.
And I don't
In
know.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
What does that mean?
System overload.
System overload.
System overload.
The system was overloaded,
Okay.
so now it's recording again. Nope.
And
There we go. We're back.
Hello from the future.
So, but yeah, it took literally like a fifth of the time
Oh yeah.
to
Yeah.
redo it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that shit took way long.
and then we started playing music, and we've been hanging out quite a bit ever since. And then it's been like
Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah, because that was when I
shit.
started my apprenticeship. Was 12 years ago.
Yep.
Because I remember when you got your hands done.
And that
We were doing music stuff
yeah.
when you got your.
That was it.
But-
Was that in Kings Beach?
Yep, that was in Kings Beach when I was down visiting.
Okay.
But yeah. Other than that, pretty much probably
is him.
90% of my tattoos.
What's
are
that
Sawblade.
Kings Beach shop's name?
Lucky 7 tattoo.
Oh, okay, I drove by that when we were over there.
Yeah.
I didn't go in. I was very bashful. They look busy. I didn't want to be a burden. You know.
That's so funny.
Like, I know Ben and Sevi. They'd be like, oh, Sevi.
Oh,
And Sevi, I think he like always hung out there all the time or something.
Yeah, he said they had him pushing a broom for a while.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Like sweeping for tattoo work.
I think just while he was hanging out, they're like, "You're gonna hang out. You gotta do something."
I love it.
So that's how we know each other.
Got it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's how
Got
we
it.
know
So
each other.
he's done a bunch of your tattoos, but you guys have also done music together, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've played punk music together.
Yeah.
Recently, we started a dance music band.
That's it. That's the key.
The two of us. We've only made one song.
Made one song. But it's the start of something really great. I think.
Yeah.
If we'd ever do it again, for sure.
And we're gonna start. I'm gonna help you with a project with your neighbor too, right?
Yeah. That'll be actually really cool.
Yeah. Now we're all bald.
Yeah. Now we are all bald. It was
All
getting
of us.
very hot.
I know. I was getting hot too. Well, so you're not from here, right? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Snohomish and Everett.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's pretty from here.
That's pretty from here.
Pretty.
I misread
pretty
that.
from here.
I misread that. Because I was thinking there was a little bit of an accent or something, but no, it's just.
I definitely have got that before. I've had people say that I sound Canadian is one of them. I've had people say that I sound Southern is another one.
I was thinking Southern, like someplace Southern. A little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, so one of my best buds, Preston, he's from Georgia, and he's been at the shop for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So no doubt, I've certainly
Picked
picked
up-
up something from him
you
for
picked
sure.
up a Georgian accent.
When there's a lot of guys who worked at the
Yeah,
shop.
we've had like an
South.
oddly high number of Southerners like work at our shop.
Like, you guys are gonna pay me how much to come here?
Well, shoot,
Well,
that's
shoot.
my cousin.
I could tattoo too.
Well,
I don't know.
Speaking of, what were you? Gonna
No,
say?
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of us all being bald, we almost had a very interesting conversation.
Oh, yeah,
starting
that's
to do
true.
this.
the technique.
The technique of shaving your head.
Yeah.
Well, first off, how long has everybody been shaving their head? Let's start with you. Go ahead, man.
12, 10, 11 years. 11 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, so the first time I shaved my head was when I was 19, and I realized I was going to be bald. But I gave it another go for like 2 years.
You try to grow it out.
Yeah, and then it failed.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah, when we first met, you had like it wasn't like long, but I mean it's certainly the longest I've ever seen your hair.
Yeah.
It was pretty good length.
Yeah, it was. And that was probably like for the first 6 months we knew each other. And
Yeah.
then what happened was I was walking into a store. I look up at the TV screen, you know,
That's
the
the
little
word.
the security,
That's
and I was like,
Least flattering.
the least, and I was like, yo, I have a receding hairline. I can see it. And I looked up, and all I could see was this hairline from here around here, and I was like,
Damn.
I was like, that's how my hair looks to other people. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I went home. I was like,
Yeah, those never look good.
No.
Ever. Or like when you're at the mini mart and you see they have like the little screen behind you,
Yeah.
you look at it and you're like trying to like stand. What if I stand like this? And
Dude, the bank. Like if you go to the bank and you see yourself,
Oh,
same
terrible.
store. You just-
Terrible.
Yeah.
like, man, how do they find people off these? Because you're like, how did you find me?
I'm way hotter than that. So-
I don't look this homeless all the time, right?
Have you ever seen my Tinder profile? Come on.
right? I'm a little bit more put together than this.
So Ben, when you shave your head now,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do it?
So I've actually adapted. So I try different things all the time, right? Because it's such a pain in the ass to shave your head, unless you do it every other day.
Right.
And so lately I've got this foil shaver.
What is that?
Yeah, what's a foil
A
shave?
foil shaver?
Yeah, it's a foil razor. I don't know the name of it.
Like tin foil?
Yeah, so it's one of those, you see the 2 bars on top of the little.
Oh yeah, okay,
It's called a foil razor.
got it.
Basically burns the
It's like
shit
an
out of
electric
your hair.
razor.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an electric razor.
But it's got like the little plates
the
or whatever
little
over it.
foil plates over it.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
And so my friend Rachel, who's a hairstylist, classic barber, as she says, she told me I should try it because I was using just the regular,
Like the wall clipper.
the wall
Yeah.
clipper, just, and then anyway until all of it I could tell was gone, and then I'd hit it with a Bic.
Ooh, but then what about like 2 days later, and you're like scratching your head, and you find out that like there's a little patch of hair that you didn't get. You're like,
So embarrassing.
how many people have seen that? How many people have been standing behind me in line and been like, what a fucking nut.
Yeah.
He's got mange.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Very embarrassing.
very
Super
embarrassing. Yeah, it really looks like you don't have your shit together when you get that patch of hair.
Oh my
I
god.
know.
It's worse than just having like grown out disheveled
Totally
hair.
worse.
Way worse.
I agree.
Ugh.
And so it's actually Andis, I think, Andis. But I use one of those, and then for my face, recently I've been trying to straight razor it.
Oh, damn.
With
Yeah.
like the leather.
Yeah, I'm like,
I always thought that would be pimp.
What is that like? Is that
it's terrifying. I'm so
did you,
afraid that
like
I'm,
when you were learning how to use, you cut it yourself up a bunch, or
yeah. Well, I've only done it like 4 times.
Yeah.
ooh,
But I've cut myself each time.
damn.
I'm like, thank God this wasn't on my throat. Like that's what I think
Yeah,
every
do you
time.
use
I'm like,
that on your throat?
yeah. Well, I'm
Ooh.
trying to.
Ooh, playing that dangerous game.
I'm like,
Damn.
and then that's when I cut myself. Like,
You gotta have the confidence, to take
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
you know. But
Yeah, scary.
So,
No, yeah.
so that's my. So I hit it with the Andes because that gets it as close to, pretty much as close to Bic as you can get it without actually
Yeah.
pulling out
Oh yeah.
one of those. Because one time on my head, and every one of those razors is useless if I ever tried to use it again. Even if I use it just for like where it's at right now, I don't know what it is, but every time, like I'll go to use the second time and I'll just burn the shit out of my head.
Oh yeah, Bic on the head. That's. Ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So that's my style.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll get to you in a minute.
We'll get to you.
Because yours sounded very interesting.
Yeah, he's got a whole thing. Like I just use a Mach 3. One of those 3 blade.
Yeah, that doesn't work. I will be, every time I use a Mach 3, it doesn't hit anything up here.
What?
I'll have like 15 hairs. So I'm like, no.
That's the worst. So what happened to me was
Oh yeah, hold on.
I was at a party, 19 years old, hanging out with my buddies, and one of my buddies, Sean, we bust each other's balls. That's just how we grew up together. Like I've known this kid since kindergarten. We're at a party. I got this fancy, like sort of 90210 kind of Dylan hair,
all
like
feathered.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
like kind of up, and there's some hair product.
Got some
and,
mousse in there.
Yeah, and some
There you go.
sideburns and the whole thing. Feeling pretty good about.
Oh yeah.
it, right?
Oh,
Like,
the sideburns too.
yeah.
That's a
This-
good look.
I had this look, and I really, I thought it was, and I was at this party feeling good. I got my my fancy and so my buddy Sean comes up behind me. I'm a little buzzed. He's a little buzzed. He he touches the back of my head, like right where the calic is, and he goes, "You got a bald spot, guy. I think you got a bald spot, guy." Like that, just like a dick buddy sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like, so not only did it ruin my night, but I had to play it off. But then I went home and obsessed about it with a little mirror, and I'm like, oh,
Terrible.
maybe it is bald. And then I started looking at like the hairline up here and the whole thing. So what happened was, I tried to hold on to it for another year, maybe 2 years. Is it balding? Is it not balding? And then finally I went and worked construction in Hawaii, and I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just getting rid of it. Right.
Oh yeah.
So I took it all off. This was 21, 22. And then like, I'm 47 now.
Yeah.
And if I literally, like, if I grow my hair out, it looks the same as it did. I feel like I maybe jumped the gun a little bit. Like the bald spot that was this big is still kind of just that bald spot that was, I mean, it's maybe a little thinner now, but
Yeah.
dude, I honestly jumped the bald head gun by like probably 15 years. I didn't need to shave my head, and it was all Sean's fault. But I've been running with it now, literally. Like it's been almost 25 years of not
Man, this whole time I thought you were genuine, and now I feel like there's this. I
That's a
feel
fake
like
ass
there's
man right
this-
there.
I was like a fake bald guy, but I was so worried. It was the stress of like thinking, is my hairline receding? And I'd have. It sounds so funny, but I'd literally like have good mornings and bad mornings depending on if I thought my hair was receding. and
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
dude.
Getting out of
Totally.
my car, going to school, I'd catch it. I'm like. And then when I removed the variable, though, it was just it was smooth sailing from there, and I would never go back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
No.
I feel like anybody that like at least is fully committed to just being like, I'm just getting rid of my hair. I'm gonna shave my head. If it's like a dare or something, and then you
Yeah.
just instantly grow your hair
Or
back.
for cancer.
Yeah, it's not gonna have the same effect. But if you're like, I just want to shave my head. Once you experience
Yeah.
the carefreeness,
Yeah.
every morning when you wake up, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, dude. It's
Yeah.
so nice. I can't imagine having hair anymore.
No, same
I
here.
can't imagine having you got to comb your hair. You got to get all the special washing and
You
stuff.
gotta go to the
It's too much.
barber.
Yeah.
Forget that. I haven't.
Chumps.
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 They don't know what they don't know
The
what
other
they're missing.
thing about it's just oh man, I totally just drew a blank of what I was gonna say. I was like, yeah, oh that was, yep,
I'm
there
sure
goes.
it was
The
really
thoughts
important.
come out easier.
Really important.
Oh, I remember. How was do either of you guys remember the first time diving in the lake with a bald head? Or taking it like
me,
a
it was the
cold
ocean.
shower?
It was the
Oh,
ocean
yeah,
in
so-
Hawaii. Yeah, like I went in and I feel like Aquaman. I was
know.
like, like everything
Aerodynamic.
super aerodynamic. Went under a wave, came up, saw another, went under. Like it was pretty magical.
But I remember, I will never, because we lived in Tahoe, so I would go swimming every day after work. There was this beach called Bucks Beach where you dive off some rocks, I remember the first time diving off the rock, I was like under sensory overload.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah.
I was
for
like,
sure.
oh, this is so cool.
you can feel stuff with your head,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, super.
You don't realize that until there's nothing in the way. There's
I
no
know.
buffer.
There's no buffer,
Yep.
and it's just
Crazy.
Like, I had a similar experience in
Yeah.
the ocean in Hawaii, North Shore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when did you start shaving your head?
It was so I like warmed up to shaving my head. So
He took
when I
baby
first started
steps.
doing it, I would use clippers on like a 1 or 2 guard,
Yeah.
and I would do that for a little bit, and that was probably like a couple years doing that. When
You did that for a while.
yeah, that was I think the first time was maybe I was about 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was like periods where I'd grow it out a bit more and then I'd shave it down again. But like full, like to the skin shaving it down probably didn't happen until, I don't know, my mid 20s or something like that.
Yep. I remember the couple years I was in Reno coming back, and I was like,
Oh,
yes, got another bald brother.
That's right.
Brother.
And do you use a razor now? Or you had some like.
I use,
Yeah, tell us about your technique.
tell us
man,
about
I
your
wish
technique.
I wish I could tell you the brand. It's, they make, it's like it's like if you go to the store and you get clippers.
Yeah.
It's one of those brands.
like Phillips or
yeah, Phillips or one of those.
Norelco.
Norelco.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But these ones, dude, so you have like the little teeth thing and they go like that.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but the whole thing is curved.
Okay.
So it follows the line of like the curve of your head.
What?
Which is pretty rad. So you don't like if you use like clippers, like flat ones,
Yeah.
you'll be going through it and then
You
there'll
have
be
to-
like a little line left.
Yeah, because it will only get this, even though the clipper's this
Yeah.
wide. With the flat one, it only hits this much
Yeah.
because of your round ass head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually learned about these from Mike, who works at the shop, who's another bald dude. And he was like, you got to go with these. And he showed me on his Amazon. I ordered those right away, dude. They work good.
Is he's newly bald though, isn't he? Or did he used to be bald? Because
Yeah, so he goes through phases. Sometimes he'll grow his hair out, and then sometimes he'll shave it.
I just feel like that's arrogant. Like if you just
Stuff showing off, man.
yeah,
you know?
stuff show. Oh wait, I'm gonna grow it out for this week. That's not how it works. You go bald, you don't go back. You don't.
You really don't.
Yeah,
you commit.
You don't.
bro. Commit. Come on.
you don't
Yeah.
go all of a sudden have this like long like.
Oh,
Quaff.
can you imagine though how cool that would be if you could somehow get your hair to grow so fast that one day you're bald and the next day you've got like these Fabio locks?
That would be so cool.
I think that's why I don't have long hair. Is I don't want to wait and go through the
5
really
years?
awkward phase of your hair being like this long, and either it goes out like Carol Brady, it'll go down and go like that, or in my case, my hair is so fine it'll just rest straight down, and I'm certain, dude, if it was to my shoulders, it would be like an eggplant. It would just go like onto my. There would be no definition. It would just go right up to my head, and I would be fine with that if it was really like super long. But that break-in period, I'm not into that.
It takes some time.
Yeah.
Carol Brady. I really like that. The Brady Bunch reference.
Yeah.
It's good.
What was her name? Do you guys remember her name?
Carol Brady.
Well, like her actual. I don't know. I don't know her actual
I'll
name.
think of
Random
it.
fact.
I'll think of it.
What's Carol Brady's name?
Dude, what is Carol Brady's name?
I will think of it in a second. If I have my.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know which one's Carol.
Dude, that's a
The
mom, dude.
Okay. Come on,
Bro.
Wow, Ben. Wow.
I would.
I guess.
So,
not, no.
I'm looking for a new co-host for this podcast.
I'm in.
Sawblade. Okay.
I'll catch you later, Ben.
Yeah.
Later, dude.
Somebody who has got.
I wish I could say it was good to know you.
Somebody who has pop culture knowledge.
Oh no.
I don't know if that's considered pop culture
It
anymore.
was at one point.
Yeah.
It was
That
at
hasn't
one
been pop
point.
culture for like 50 years.
Well, let me just tell you this much. There has never been a point where I was really up to date with pop culture
Well, yeah.
of my era or anyone else's.
Yeah.
So
That's fine, though.
Yeah.
That's okay.
except for like 2,000 years ago, I know some of that pop culture.
Well, yeah. Like from the Bible pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop Bible culture.
Pop Bible culture.
Yeah.
I'm pretty hip. You know what I'm saying?
You know, hip
No,
with
I
kids.
get
Yeah. So
Well, we covered the bald stuff.
we
Bald
did
stuff covered.
Sawblade.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it a super awkward transition and really put you on the spot.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Oh, I mean,
Oh, well,
I've been
all right.
enjoying this, but
Yeah.
I sent him our thing, and so now he knows what to prep for.
It did get the juices flowing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about different stuff, but man, it's so hard, like,
Yeah.
to think about your past and be like, what's noteworthy there?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot. But I think it's because everybody, you go through your life. So you're not looking at it from the outside.
Yeah.
It's just how shit goes.
Yep.
And then like, it seems so unnoteworthy because it just seems so normal because it's just shit that happened.
Yep.
But then when you start talking to people, you realize, whoa, that was pretty fucked up. That
Right? Yeah.
Especially when they
Yeah.
tell you how fucked up.
Yeah. But they just give you that blank look.
When their eyes just get wider and wider. Dude.
Yeah. You understand that's not normal, right? Like, you start to have that conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Man.
So you grew up here in Washington. You're a Washington native.
Yeah.
No southern background, even though I would have assumed.
No.
somewhere.
Well, my whole family, other than my immediate family, all lives in Washington, but like all relatives and everything are from California. So that is technically Southern.
That's my kind of Southern.
Does California count as part of the South? I mean, because if you're saying the South, that is about as south as you can get on this side.
Yeah.
Well, not about. That is as south as you can get on this side.
Yeah, it is.
I would
But
count them.
I grew up in California. My mom grew up in Southern California,
So did my mom.
and so
So did my mom.
Oh my
Guys,
do we have the
come
same
on.
mom?
Yeah, bald California moms.
that was awkward.
It was. I wasn't expecting it to be such a far reach.
I thought we were just.
It was real far.
and then people started leaning in.
And then-
It was like an awkward first kiss, right?
So
So there was like, I'm putting it out there. Let's see what happens.
let's see what happens.
And then you start leaning in. You're like,
Yeah.
touch.
touch.
And then this is my bad shoulder, so I just kind of held it up in the air to kind of evaluate how it was
Yeah.
feeling. I totally forgot about the high five altogether. And just
Yeah, it's
You're-
hard to
and
high five
fist
from a
pumping.
distance.
It's also hard
difficult.
to fist pump for him.
I think we should count California as part of the South.
Okay.
Because
It's so far
at
south.
least half, 60%, at least 60% of anybody that's in California, their head would explode if they thought that they were considered Southern.
yeah.
And I like the idea of that.
I like the idea of that too. I like stressing people out. Just one more variable you can add to their stress.
Well, I mean, and if you think about it, so Mexico's right there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
And Mexico is definitely south of the South.
That is
So it's
way
pretty-
south.
And it's part of California is like pretty much, I mean, San Diego and Tijuana are
Yeah, they're like right across the street from each other. Aren't
Yeah.
they?
Totally.
Pretty close. But
Yeah.
so that's Southern California. I would consider. I'm with you. Let's consider that the South.
It's the South.
I mean, and especially
Arizona's the South.
if you go to Arizona,
Texas is the South. Everything's South. It should just be the South. Why is the South only on one side?
I
It's
never
all
even thought about
south.
that. It is south.
and people from Texas definitely consider themselves Southerner. Well, no,
They're
think
just Texans.
They're just Texans.
They don't even
yeah.
consider
Yeah,
themselves
that's true.
part of like the U.S. They're like, no, we're Texans.
But a lot of the things that happen in the South are very similar in Texas and Arizona.
Oh yeah.
And when you get to California, they're like, nope, not us.
We're not actually technically South.
But I mean, California's so big. I grew up in Lake Tahoe, which is 8-10 hours from the South. It's almost equidistant from here as it is from
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, that is nuts how big California is. Because like Texas is huge, Alaska's like bizarrely huge. But is there any other what's like the top 3 biggest states? Is
I think
California
the-
like third place?
It's got to be. I mean, look at all the other states.
It's just so big.
And I think it from my if my memory serves me well from the last time I looked at a map, which has probably been quite a while. Alaska, Texas,
Your last
California,
geography class?
Nevada.
See, I'm staying out of this geography conversation.
I'm
'cause
terrible
gonna
at
look
it.
like a real big dummy
Oh,
at
yeah.
some point when
I
if
know.
start chiming
I
in.
just put my
letting you
foot
guys on.
out there, right?
I'm letting
like-
you guys on that.
There have been so many times already in this podcast that I've put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
was-
you know, that's how conversation works. A conversation is just a series of making yourself look like a fool and then saving yourself from it, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
the problem
fun
with,
that way.
The problem with me is I usually don't rectify the situation.
You just kind of leave it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
There we go. That's live.
All right, so we got the South. So California.
California. What were we talking about?
We're talking. We ended up talking about moms from California.
Oh, yeah, moms from California.
Because you're talking about your family.
Yeah, my family's all from California.
Okay.
But get this. So this isn't like... So I was telling this to some buddies recently, and they were not near as stoked as I thought they would be. And I think it's because... Okay, so I think most people, right, like generally live within somewhat visitable distance of like your relatives, right?
Yeah.
So all my family always lived in California or Utah. My dad's brother moved out to Utah, and then I think my dad's sister, they moved out to like Idaho or something like that for a bit. But just recently, my uncle just got a condo in Everett, and I was telling my buddy, I was like, dude, my uncle's moving to Everett. And he's like, okay. I was like, family's gonna live close. Can you imagine? And then I thought about it. Yeah, people's families live close to them.
Yeah.
I've just
Yeah.
never had family live close. I was like, oh my God. And in the same, dude, his place is 2 blocks from my place.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
crazy.
That is awesome.
It'll be pretty cool. Have some
Dude,
family
so-
close.
I can totally get excited about that because my one cousin lives in Connecticut.
Wait, you only have one cousin?
Yes, I only have one first cousin. I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah, I've got
You seriously only have one
Yeah.
cousin.
That seems so bizarre.
That's
my
super.
so
bizarre.
my mom's sister, my aunt Lori, her and my uncle Jim had a baby.
We know how that happens, right?
Yep, and
Hell
that's my
yeah.
cousin.
Cue the music.
And then on my dad's side, on the Mexican side of me, the Mexican native side of me, we have no. So two of my uncles. Well, I had 3 uncles on my dad's side. None of them ever had babies. 2 had severe learning handicaps, and then my other uncle, he was just a player in a wheelchair. And you met him, didn't you?
Oh yeah, the one you lived with for a bit. Yeah.
And so, and he lived in Alaska. So we lived in Tahoe. He lived in Alaska. My Uncle Clinton lives in San Diego. My grandparents lived in San Diego because I only had one set of grandparents growing up. And because my dad was adopted. And then...
Wait. Okay, let me see it for a second. So
I can't believe you're tracking it.
So
I
you
just
only
shut
had
down
one
like 5
set of
minutes ago.
grandparents. Do you mean that the parents that raised your dad don't count as grandparents because they adopted him? Like did you never know them or something?
No.
Oh,
And
weird.
I'm pretty sure everyone who is ever related to my dad is dead.
Whoa. So you're like,
And my dad. So
what? Like you and Sevi and
me
your sister,
Sevi,
like that's the
and my
last of the line.
sisters, Yep, that's the last of the line.
Crazy.
Wow.
And
Well, I
so-
guess I don't know. That's probably not that crazy. That's kind of how life actually works. So.
that's why Sevi has to have babies.
Yeah.
Pass
Soon.
down the, yeah, he better. I don't
Like
know
10.
how. I don't know who's gonna knock him up, but
Can you imagine if Sevi had like a bunch of little kids running around? They're all getting little motorcycle accidents.
I just talked to him yesterday.
oh, did you?
Yeah, we talked yesterday.
How was
It's
that?
funny. I was just imagining Sevi pregnant. I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking how awkward that would be.
Oh man,
That'd be cute.
It'd be.
That'd be cute. Well, pregnant gals are all cute in their own way,
Pregnant gals for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. But so I only knew of my 3 uncles on my dad's side, who are all passed away last 5-6 years. Then my grandparents on my mom's side, and who passed away last year. And then so now I have my uncle Clinton down in San Diego, my Aunt Lori and Uncle Jim, and they live in Connecticut.
Wait, so how many
With my
siblings
cousin.
does your mom have?
2.
And your dad's got 3?
Yep.
So of all those, one cousin.
One cousin.
cousin.
That's crazy.
One cousin.
I don't know how many cousins I have exact. I mean, it's not like so many I couldn't count. I've just never cared
I'm
to.
with you. Yeah,
But
like
I
I'd have to really
definitely-
sit down and think about it.
Yeah, like if like a family reunion or something, it's going to take you a minute to
Yeah.
converse with all of them
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think like every family's got like at least 2 kids, and then there's four on my mom's side and 5 on my dad's side. So yeah, what is that? I don't know. I don't know how many kids that is.
17.
It's like 17 kids. It's 17. It's enough for half of an R-worded bus.
I was totally just zoning out,
17 kids.
and I missed what you said, so I just threw out.
That's probably about right though.
Yeah. And I think this whole tangent started because you were excited about your uncle moving.
So stoked.
This is what's supposed to be my job, is pulling things back on track. But I'm so kind of tired and hungover that I'm just letting it.
Doesn't need to happen. Who needs a track?
Well, and this is our first episode with somebody other than me and you.
Yeah, for sure.
And we did that episode in like 4 takes, and the reason it's 3 some odd hours long is because we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah. Still
so-
don't.
Oh, yeah.
Still don't.
And
Well,
so
you don't really need to.
yeah. And well, the nice thing, that's why I was like, man, Sawblade would be perfect for our second, because it'll help us get used to talking to people. Because if we want to know anything about anything, if we get stuck at some place, be like, Sawblade, do you know anything about this?
Sometimes I do. Or sometimes you can just bullshit about stuff.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Actually,
Yeah.
and he'll go, and I'll
Well.
believe whatever he says, because he's normally so correct.
You just need to say things with confidence. People will
I
believe
agree.
anything you say.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
I agree with that.
My dad is the king of that. That dude you can just be somewhere random, just talking about something, anything, and he'll just chime, oh, well, actually, how that, and he'll go on for like 15 minutes telling you this whole thing. He didn't have a clue what the fuck he's talking about. Not even slightly.
Those are the best.
But the way he says it, it's like, oh shit, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He doesn't. You'd think he did though.
I have so much shame about being wrong.
Oh,
A lot of times I just won't chime in. Like, I'll know the answer, but I'll just kind of hang back.
Dude,
And-
yeah. When the teachers ask you in class and you know that shit, but like the chance that you like raise your hand and just somehow you were wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Ultimate shame.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ultimate shame.
So no wonder my story was 4 hours long. I don't, whatever that is, I'd be like, dude, I know this. But then the messed up part is, I would say, like, in my answer, I would give you some alternate way to get to that answer.
Yeah.
Same thing. And they're like, what the hell are you
I mean, as long
talking
as
about?
if you're wrong, as long as you can explain it. Oh, okay. So actually, what I was thinking was if you do it like this, and then you can generally explain your way back to the point.
Yeah. And so the shame barrier didn't come up until I started doing drugs. And then I was like, oh, shame is a thing.
That's That's where it all caught up to you.
I was like, oh, my whole life I've been so dumb.
Drugs will do that.
Drugs will totally do that.
Yeah, the dumb. I guess I'm not enforcer. I was trying to. It just pulls it out of you.
Just pull right out.
I can't think of the word.
Pull that out of you.
Yeah, oh man, I don't know, man. This coffee hasn't kicked in apparently.
What kind of coffee is that?
Black.
Delicious.
I made it special, handcrafted,
Handcrafted.
artisan.
Artisan.
Some artisanal coffee.
Yeah.
So,
Filtered through a pair of dirty panties.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what everybody likes.
guys, my day just got 10 times better.
Nice.
It's been so long since I've even seen a pair of dirty panties.
There you go.
Oh, it's really
this boy does the wash.
Sawblade was actually one of the first people I told about being celibate.
Is that right? Did you think it was crazy?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think it would take like something particularly out of the ordinary for me to think Ben's crazy.
Yeah.
Because his baseline is already like so it's already
Right.
so out there.
Yeah.
Where like shit that'll call me, oh dude, or like I don't know, just different times you've called me up just like, oh dude, I'm moving out to Reno. I was like, okay. I guess I'll see you when you get back. Just random stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was so excited. I thought you were going to go into something deeper than that, but then you stopped yourself. So
Wait, what deeper would you like?
I don't know.
How deep do you want to go?
I was like, ooh, he probably remembers stuff.
What are you
remember.
thinking?
I don't. I was thinking.
Honestly,
about
off
it
the top of my
this
head, I actually can't really think of anything.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm never like shocked.
Yeah.
Like even if it's something like way out there, I'm never shocked.
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
You can't be shocked
Oh,
by
it's
the
Ben.
dude with tattoos on his eyebrows doing something wacky. It's like, well, yeah, that's gonna happen.
The best part is he's the dude who does my tattoos.
I know.
And I've got probably like 100% more tattoos than him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You've got like what, 8 tattoos or something?
yeah. I got about 7 tattoos. I
So
think.
why only 7?
You know, I hate getting tattooed so so
I think
bad.
that is hilarious.
But I think what it really is I think it's like if you do any job, it'll always get to the point where
Yeah.
it's like, that's my job.
Yeah.
So like if I want to get tattooed, every now and again, if it's like in the winter when it gets slow, every now and again we'll do like a little something on each other when we're just wasting time at the shop. But other than that, like I'd have to like come into the shop and spend hours at work, and I'm like, I just got off work. I'm not like trying to go back to work.
get it.
You know?
So would you do the like? Do you have any tattoo artists who you're like, man, I want to get tattooed by that guy?
There's one dude. I guess there was only really 2. One was Tilt. He's out in what's the town called? Champaign, I think, like just outside of Chicago. His shit's rad. I would love to get something done by him. And Andy's actually got my wife Andy. She's got some family out in Chicago, so we might end up going out and visiting there. And if we do, then I'll probably go into a shop and get something
Nice.
done. And then the other one's Timmy Tats, and that dude's gnarly, just like rad, just like bold, old school shit. And I got something from him like 5 years ago, so that one's off the list.
Nice.
There you go.
But those were kind of the only 2 that I was really like, I want to get stuff done by them. That's about it for that, though, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never had the perspective, because I don't want to stereotype, but most tattoo artists, most of your people, they're just fucking
What do you mean,
covered,
your
right?
people?
Your people?
They're
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
they're
there's-
usually covered, right? That's kind of it's my guess would be the sort of the journey into becoming a tattoo artist. I usually start with getting tattooed and
Yeah.
get a little bit artsy, and then I don't. We can talk about that in a second. How you ended up being a tattoo artist, which I'm sure is
It's a lot less exciting than you would think.
Well, so go back. I mean, were you like a kid? Did you draw a lot? Like, were you an artsy kid?
Yeah, I was always like sketching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked doing that when I was a kid. And then like in school,
Yeah.
the stereotype, just on your homework or whatever, just sketching on that and shit. But yeah, just always grew up just drawing and doing that kind of junk. That was
Dude,
an interest.
Yeah.
And I remember he made the grip tape on his skateboard look like his face.
Oh man, I wish there was a picture of that. There's got to be a
was so
picture of that
rad.
You mean
somewhere.
with like the X-Acto knife?
Yeah, so it was like those like high contrast
Silhouettes.
pictures where it's just like the black. Yeah, so I'd done that, and I totally forgot about that.
Dude, that turned
That
out
sounds
so
amazing.
rad. I saw that and I was like, oh, he's gonna be great at tattooing.
And look at me now.
And now
You're
my
eating
body's
your
covered.
words.
We've got I got a tattoo. We got a funny story about that.
Oh, that's a
actually.
good one. Yeah.
See that right there, the little wheel.
Yeah.
So, so my ex-wife, Sawblade's tattooing her, and he's doing a cover-up of her ex-husband's name.
Was that the owl? Did you do the owl?
He did
yeah.
the owl.
Yeah.
What was the cover
It
up? That
was
was
the
something
rose.
else, right? Oh yeah.
So you did both the roses here
Yeah.
too. So he did a rose to cover up her ex-husband's name, right? And so we're just totally talking crap, or at least I am to her. I mean, when we tattoo, or when he tattoos me, I should say, when I get tattooed, we just laugh the entire time until I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't handle any more of this.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Well, because he'll go right into the most painful spot, but right before that, he'll say something hilarious, and then he'll and so like I think half a mountain on my rib is still unshaded because I was like, dude, I can't. Nope.
Well, that's the nice thing about mountains.
Yeah.
Who knows what a mountain looks like?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, the sun was coming from that angle, so
Yeah.
I mean, the rest is shaded.
Technically, it's southern facing.
But so I'm just talking crap to Jess about that, and then she's like, well, she's like, whatever, you still have Sarah's name tattooed on you, and I like, I look over at Sawblade, I was like, what tattoo are you talking about? And she was like, SS and BB. And so, and we just look at each other. I was like, SS is Sawblade. So he tattooed a nautical a wheel on my leg, and it says SS and BB, and there's a bunch of little hearts by it.
That's a good one.
Not to mention, I've got his name tattooed over here.
Well,
Tattoos by Sawblade.
pretty official.
So
pretty
she
official.
thought the tattoo
Yeah.
the tattoo it was Sawblade's initials.
Yeah.
Because what was your ex's name? Initial? Like hers was also SS,
No, it wasn't.
or just the first was S?
Yeah, just the first.
Oh,
was
okay.
S. And that was from like high school.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
That was pretty good.
It was good. And it was at this weird moment because of where he sat when their shop was there. It was literally right in front of the front door,
Oh yeah, that was at
in
the
the-
Broadway shop.
in the center of the entire tattoo shop.
Yeah.
And so, and our conversations always get loud and hilarious. And so the entire shop heard
Oh,
me
yeah.
tell Jess that it was his initials tattooed on me. Oh, and everybody up. It was just everybody was busted up. It was rolling. We did.
It's just what buds do, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's how you know we're in love.
It's true.
That's good.
Bud love,
That's right.
but not
Love buds.
Man love.
no,
Couple of love buds.
love buds.
Love buds.
It's like a flower. We're blossoming.
Oh, we blossomed together.
Okay, so you were you were artsy as a kid, but like it wasn't like a big focus for you.
Yeah, it was just
necessarily?
like something.
Yeah. You're just good at drawing.
Just something I always like like busy, like fidgeting kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like I always
You would
just sit there
doodle.
and just doodle. Yeah,
Yeah, but your doodles were probably pretty dope compared to other kids.
they were pretty dope.
Yeah,
Pretty dope doodles.
And did like are your folks still together, still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they push you? They say, "Oh, you're very good at that," or did they just kind of?
I mean they like I don't know. They were always like very encouraging, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Like, oh, that's a really good picture, But it was never really anything where it was like, oh, you should get into this or
Yeah.
this or that. They're both fairly artistic. But like my dad's a drummer.
Okay.
Visually, I don't think he does much like artwork like that. My mom does a lot though, and she does like furniture building and stuff. So there was always some sort of like artistic
Got it.
kind of thing going on in the
Okay.
household. So I guess it wasn't like directly like you should get into this, but it was always something that was.
It was the
around.
vibe. Like people
Yeah.
did. It's funny because my wife is. I didn't even know this. This is funny, but she's a really good drawer. And I knew she like kind of sketched as she was growing up, and it was a thing that she was into. But she started reading this book, Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain.
Oh yeah,
That's what it's called. Which
I've
is
heard of that.
Like this quintessential drawing book, and a lot of I need to read it because it sounds like a lot of it goes into just life in general and how our brains develop and how we, socially and all these other things and the way we think about things and problem solving. But only until she started reading that book, then she started drawing again, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're really you're really good at like I had no idea." It was a fun thing, and she's got this like new kind of creative focus, just drawing, which has been super fun to see, and it's definitely, even in the last 6 months, changed kind of our dynamic and
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
Well, she's pretty good on that whole spectrum. Like because I personally think that like high level yoga and like Pilates and stuff, I think that's a very artistic
for sure
train of thought.
Yeah,
I think it follows the same wavelength and the acting thing, and so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think what I've learned from watching it is, depending on who you are as a person, we're either one side of the brain dominant or the other side, right? And so technically, like the right hand in the left brain, and the left hand in the right brain, and the left brain is much more analytical and kind of detail oriented, and and that's where our society really focuses on us. But once you get into the right brain, it's much and you're, like if you're lefts have a little bit of an advantage because if they're are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Yeah, I think lefties just
What are you, some sort of fucking idiot?
Sorry,
but I think the lefties just have that initial advantage because they're already sort of right brain dominant, and that's where
also they gotta they're left-handed.
Yeah.
The world's made for right-handed. Already you have to figure out how to do shit that you're is unnatural to you anyway.
You ever try to use a pair of left-handed kid scissors?
Dude, I have not, but I love watching left-handed people try to use right-handed scissors, and their hands go into those contorted shapes because the ergonomics are backwards.
It doesn't work at all.
It's fantastic.
Things that give you joy.
Yeah,
I'm actually very interested. So, in this process, it's helped solidify to me that even though I feel like I've always strove to be a great friend, but this process has made me realize that maybe I'm not such a good friend because
you're definitely not.
I don't know shit about. I don't know anything about my friends' past before I meet them.
Yeah,
because I really care to meet you on a deep level, and I want to know people on a deep level, but I don't care where you're from. Like I don't care what came before me.
Yeah, I wasn't there yet.
Doesn't
matter.
So it doesn't. just like with relationships.
Like it's like pre-bend, post-bend. That's sort of how you.
Yeah.
Because your life obviously got better knowing.
Yeah.
You.
Right.
So.
Oh well, yeah. That's how it works.
It's true though. It's true. We don't spend, and I think that's one of the things that I've been interested to figure out is we don't spend a lot of time until you know somebody, maybe for a really long time, and then you don't even get into it. But it's so much about the past and our history and the things that we may or may not see as significant really kind of shape who we are today, right? And where we're trying to go.
And it's so interesting to me because up until the last couple of years, I never really cared to think that far back, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't give a shit.
Well, but
I know what you mean though, dude. I totally get it.
And so, especially going into the weird phase of meeting new people post being married, because basically I just came out and laid it out on the line, like with everybody I met. I'm like, yo, I used to be a real big piece of shit.
Just so you know.
Disclaimer. If anything ever comes up, it's probably true, and I'll tell you about it right now. Like I'd rather just get this out of the weeds. Like I did some crazy stuff, and so before that, and so I always found it every now and then there would be somebody who'd be like, you seem interesting to me. Tell me your story. And they'd ask me these questions that would pull the past out of me. But up until the last couple of years, I never really focused on that. And then I've started to really gain a new respect for people. There have been a few people who, some of them I can't even remember the people's names, but because it was just like a random night at a bar where like there was this one dude who apparently almost went pro as a field goal kicker or whatever from Nevada. And I was speaking to him at Buckaroo's, a bar and that my buddy bartends at, until like 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And because he was just inquiring about my life. And but
damn, you guys have deep bar talk.
Yeah.
That goes a lot deeper than mine.
I don't have deep anything talk until you try to pull it out of me. I mean, because I don't really go deep unless it's specifically designed for that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But so I have a new respect for people that do that, and it made me think of how many women are really good at that, right? And it's because a lot of times they want to know, because they're like, oh, well, I need to know how badly you're going to treat me, or
Yeah.
Or how hard I need to work to change you.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
I was going to say, Sawblade, there is freshly disinfected some different options for cannabis, if you'd like.
Ooh, is that what this is here?
Yeah. So there's, and I can tell you the spring equinox, you got to read them, but the spring equinox is sativa dominant hybrid.
Oh, these are cool.
I forget which ones I put there. I gave you a variety. So read them to me and I'll tell you what does what.
Let's see.
That one will make you shit your pants.
We've got spring equinox.
That's a little bit like a sativa dominant hybrid.
Lovely. We've got, and this is,
They're hard as hell to read
what does
sometimes.
that say? Halo? Oh, Halo?
Let's flip it over.
Is that what's
That's
supposed
the
to-
brand. Yeah.
It's supposed to, but you're supposed to say it like HALO, like Halo, but it's spelled like
Hello.
HEYLO.
I've never actually said it out loud.
Halo.
Hello.
Hello. Let's see. We've got 707 Truth Band.
That's
like
more-
707, like the drum machine. That's
Yeah,
rad.
that one is indica dominant hybrid.
something tells me
Okay.
it's 707, like from the Bay Area, because they're super into their weed down there.
And
then,
that's
oh no,
CBG.
that's one I just read. That's Spring Equinox.
707.
This one is the CBG blend.
That one is like more like a true sativa, but it's just heavy on CBG, so a little bit upbeat.
What is the CBG?
It's just another
Cool Blood Gang.
Is that what makes it like a sativa, kind of more like up and peppy?
I think so. I think it's one
There
of
we go.
those. Yeah.
That's my flavor.
The CBG is one of my favorite. I'm not a huge weed smoker, but
This thing is cool.
that's a little PAX era.
And it's like a jewel, but for weed.
Yeah, and then you just
That's
pull
neat.
on it. You don't have to do
That's
anything. See if it works for you.
goes.
Catonic
Yeah,
bat grammar.
It may not be as strong as like a joint or something, but I like it. It's just a
mellow,
nice, easy
smooth.
way to
It doesn't rip up your throat.
No.
That's nice. A lot of the concentrates I've had, dude, you take a drag.
They'll
and
beat you
just,
up. Yeah.
It's not bad.
To have as much as you want. That's all. Do you need anything else? Or are you good?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Catastrophic
hospitable.
birthing gnome. CBG.
Fantastic.
Catastrophic birthing gnome.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure it out while you guys are talking.
That's definitely probably what it is.
Well, there's all these different cannabinoids that they're starting to isolate now, right? You have CBD was the hot one, THC obviously, which is what gets you high. And then there's there's CBN, which apparently is super good for like sleeping like a dead person, basically. And then CBG is the opposite, where it's supposedly upbeat, social, energetic, kind of, focused. For me, I don't really do it during the day because they all kind of make me just slow down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I get a little,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
barely operational most of the time anyway. So you give me something like that. So nighttime.
Yeah, I like. I find that if I smoke like a bit of something sativa, like if it's indica,
You're out.
I better be where I'm going to be for a while. If it's sativa though, just like a little bit,
Yeah.
man, it just kind of helps quiet down all that outside shit that's just constantly like, hey, look here.
Yeah.
This is where you just like, and you can just kind of chill. It's nice.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think just in general with how much shit we're in these unprecedented times with information flying at us, opinions flying at us, people choosing sides on every fucking issue, and we are so overloaded with external noise coming in constantly that whether it's a CBG or just like whatever, you can turn the volume down a little bit to get that. I mean, it's overwhelming. We're just being bombarded constantly with
There's so much.
yeah. So, yeah, I think it's cool to know if that were for me. If I were to smoke that right now, it'd just be like, do they know I'm stoned? I feel like
That's what it is for me. Anytime I've ever smoked weed, I hate it.
no, I don't hate it, but I just like
I'm
to
like-
be in my bed or close to my bed or whatever.
Right.
Like shut
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah, I used to get that a
Like
lot
gonna have
more.
a heart attack.
Yeah. Like going out in public, like if you just smoked a bowl and you like, oh shit, I gotta go to the store. Like that, like when I was younger, oh dude, I would just be like, fuck it, I guess I don't need it. I'm just here. I'm gonna stay here. I'm not going outside. That's for sure. But now it's, I mean, now I prefer it when I go out.
Yeah. I don't do the socials. Yeah, it's just nighttime for me, but I'm always a little jealous when people can socially go out and do it, and it actually enhances this. It just, I know my limits with it. I really like it in very controlled use case.
Yeah.
That reminds me, like the whole social and drug thing. I was thinking on the way here, we need to find somebody we can have an episode with, and where we can label it antisocial the drug.
Antisocial the drug.
The drug. Because antisocial, like, I've noticed on social media how antisocial everybody is.
Oh, it's become very like in vogue to be
they're like
an introvert.
We're going inside. Well, I've always been antisocial, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Like there was a big trend. Now I think I'm following you. You can tell me if I'm way out. There was a big trend a while ago where I kept seeing these memes about respecting introverts' boundaries and I'm an introvert, and like it was like a badge, right? I'm this, yeah. And so like the introvert awareness, like there was a tidal wave of introvert awareness that
it's like now that I have kids, I don't need to tell anybody I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I have an excuse to never leave the house.
Yeah, it's like, well, you didn't leave the house anyway, so nobody gives a shit because nobody's missing out. So stay home. I don't care.
Well, but it makes me wonder how much people are wanting to be introverted or they want to claim antisocial because they're so worried about what's going to happen when they are social.
Yeah.
Because of their perception of themselves, or I mean, because you think of all the social media stuff. How much of a fake it is for so many. I mean, it's what you want people to think your life is like.
Yeah, I think it's rare that you could like, especially I think of like if you already know somebody and you see their social media, then you already have like that. You kind of have like that point to kind of like judge against.
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, well, yeah, that's my buddy, and he's out at this place having a good time.
Yeah.
But if you don't
that
know
one
the person,
time last year,
if you don't know the person and you see like, oh, they do this, they go do that. I bet almost anybody, if you met them in real life after seeing their social media shit, you'd be like, this is the same person.
Yeah.
This is not you.
What a disappointment.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
False advertisement.
We kind of dipped into this a little bit, but I've had a lot of that. Especially when you get to travel doing music. So I'd meet people who had been following my music, and then I'd be like, "Oh my God, you are not who I expected you to be."
Yeah.
Or you like you were just awkward as hell, or whatever. Like whether or they just don't look anything the same, or I don't pay that close attention to people's pictures. So you show up and like this dude like who looks like he's this bodybuilder, physical fitness coach, and he's like 5'2", and you're like, yo, your pictures make you look like you're like a gorilla, and now I see you and you're more like
a mini gorilla.
Mini gorilla, not
like a chimp maybe.
Yeah.
Or what's those ones that kind of look like gorillas, and they go they're like the howler monkeys or something. They do all that crazy noise. Those guys are rad.
I don't know.
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I don't pretend to know the name.
I was totally going to go down the path of something that would spark Sawblade's interest.
Spark joy.
Well, because he's super into like fantasy stuff, and so I was trying to think of a really creative, short, stocky, like a dwarf.
Yeah, dwarf.
Like a dwarf.
Yeah,
like a dwarf.
Definitely.
But like, not to be man.
Insensitive.
I was gonna use a different one. Not to be insensitive
I'd be
towards.
Fucking idiot, but
Yo, I'm working on my cursing, but not to be insensitive, but like the kind you see killing orcs or whatever, like the badass kind.
Badass kind.
Not in a negative manner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like this isn't a dwarf that works at a mall kiosk.
No.
I think that's a different thing than if you're talking about.
I made it
like
so
in
much
a fantasy
worse.
realm. You really zeroed in and pinpointed it.
I made it so.
It's good to examine. Though.
I did exactly what I intended not to do by doing what I intended not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Dwarves are rad.
Anyways, but yeah. So there you have it. But
I don't know
so
how
I've
we
had
started down that because we were
so
talking
many-
about antisocial or people not being
the social media thing.
people not being feel like once you meet them in person versus their social media presence, there's a big contrast is what you're getting at.
Yeah. And how many times that you're like angles are for real, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, right? Like perspective angles and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys and girls.
Guys and girls.
Guys and girls. Like,
Oh yeah.
you're like, yo, how do you make yourself look like that? Because now I'm kind of curious. I want to see what I look like with one of these angles because
Because you were looking good.
you were looking pretty cool,
Right?
And now
Yeah.
you kind of look crazy.
I bet there's YouTube videos for that. You can just go on YouTube
Guaranteed.
and find out.
Guaranteed.
I'm good without that. I don't really want to know that much.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, bro.
It is more work than it's worth.
That's why I was off social media for a year plus, and even now I'm an awful social media guy.
I'm terrible at it. Are you a good social media guy? Do you do it?
No.
He's even worse than us.
I have an Instagram. Well, I still have.
He's got the.
I still
socials.
have a Facebook account. Because there's like a guitar. What do you call it? Forum. I guess it's not a. What would you call that? It's not a forum. A group. It's like a group, and they have the posts and everybody does. So yeah, I keep the Facebook for that because it's like, if you knew it, it's super exclusive.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to be part of it. And then I have Instagram, and I'll put up like tattoo pictures on
Right.
there and stuff. But I think if I go on my phone, I'm a YouTube guy. If I'm just sitting, hanging out, taking a dump, doing whatever on my phone, I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like for sure. And I don't know. I just don't really ever think to go on like Instagram or Facebook. I do like Instagram, but I love YouTube, man. I love it. It's awesome.
It takes effort. There's a certain level of effort to like keep up depending on what you're trying to do. Yeah. I guess that's what it is. It's like, what's the intention behind your social media? And I've gone in fits and spurts, and I think my intention's never really been dialed in. So that's when I just end up quitting or not doing anything. Like I posted something on Facebook on my own shit for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and I totally am anti social media. I'm anti-social media because
Anti-social media.
Because everything that came to life for me was negative.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, they've like, well, I don't know. I'm just like speaking out of my ass right here, but I definitely have heard that there have been like tests and stuff done where like social media has like a measurably negative effect on people.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Like over
depression
and over
and shit
again.
like that.
Depression, anxiety. Yeah.
Well, because the flip side of that is it becomes like a drug, right? So all the likes, all the, and so
get all that dopamine.
Exactly.
Dopamine.
You get the dopamine going, and then all of a sudden it starts to go away, and all of a sudden you're not relevant, right? Even just for a moment, but that'll create, or you do something stupid, and you don't like the accountability factor, and so then the entire world around you. I think we were talking about this about making on the road to transformation. If you try to take a step out and do anything and you mess up, the entire world sees it.
Oh,
and then you get attacked by like 7-year-old kids who don't even know you from some other state, and like, and they're just ruthless, right?
Yeah.
They're like, man, you idiot, you didn't know this, and you're like,
yeah.
So you just may help me kind of flesh out an awareness, which is, as we were talking about being, getting together with people that you don't know in person. There might be a little more, maybe for me even, there might be a little more caution about being open right away, because we're so tied to that perception that social media is always putting out there. It might actually wash over into these face-to-face interactions where I'm not being 100% authentic right out of the gate. It takes me a little bit of a warming up period, because I'm always worried about that perception. I think it's been magnified because of social media.
Oh yeah, like it kind of makes it like heavier even.
Yeah. Like, I hope this guy doesn't think I'm a dork.
Yeah, right. I'm cool. Hey, I'm cool. I'm a cool dude.
Wait, am I trying too hard to be cool? Am I actually cool if I'm trying to be cool?
Yeah.
so this is why I wanted to start with my story, because like I said, the shame factor.
Yeah.
I got all that. Now the whole world, if they ever see that, they already know what kind of person I was. So I don't have to. I don't.
Yeah.
I can always be genuine on this show.
yeah.
Like, wow, you just said something dumb. I'm like, well, look at my life.
Well,
You should expect this.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal.
Exactly.
But so we've gone so far from
Which is fine. How are we on time too? I want to make sure that I didn't bring my timer out.
I know.
I don't know
I was
what time it
thinking
is.
about that.
Can you look at
I don't
the
even know
camera
what time
and
we
see when-
started.
See when it kicked?
I'm gonna get up. And look because it's too small for me to see.
That is real. There's a clock on that?
There's a clock on that, but it's little. And I had a timer, and I
Let's see. Oh, 1 hour 10 minutes.
love
Oh,
it. 1
okay.
hour 10 minutes. Yeah, that's good. And then Ben's out of here.
All right, see you later, Ben.
See you, Ben.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
But not as
Well,
good
last
as
one.
seeing you. Look at you.
Yeah, and I want to get to. Well, how'd you get Sawblade? Is there a story behind the name?
Man, also, you would think it's a much cooler story than what it is.
You keep saying that, but you got pretty cool stories.
So it's so it started. My buddy's cousin owned this bar in Everett called the Anchor, and when I turned 21, my buddy's like, my cousin owns a bar. Let's go. And I was like, well, fucking yeah, let's do it. Yeah, awesome. So we go over there.
By the way, Ben's podcast 101. He's just going to start. Eating on the
Crackle, crackle. Perfect.
I'm just okay. So your buddy.
Yeah, so we go and start hanging out there, and we got to know just like another group of dudes that hung out there as well, like go to shows and stuff. And so after a while, we had got to know each other, but as like young dudes at the bar, like there was never a point where we were like formally like, "Hello, I'm Sam. What's your name?"
Yeah.
That never happens. So at one point, they were just like, or one of them was like, "I don't know your name, but I'm just gonna call you Sawblade." And I was like, "Oh, okay,
That's pretty
there
awesome.
you go."
Don't you have a Sawblade tattooed on you somewhere?
Well, yeah, I got that one done after everybody
After
had
the
been calling me
nickname.
Sawblade.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Dude, because you could have come up with. I mean, they could have come up with a way shittier.
Well, it started out. One of the guys was like, "Oh, we'll call you Susan." I was like, "Dude, that's my mom's name. You can't call me my mom." Like, I don't know. Don't know what kind of mental shit that would start in you, but it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good.
So it was Susan, and then
Susan,
it
then
went to Sawblade.
Sawblade. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because you really, when you're putting your faith in somebody else to come up with a nickname for you,
Yeah.
it's
It can be bad.
it's risky.
Yeah.
It's risky.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know the nicknames people give me.
Well,
Yeah,
They're not pretty.
not pretty.
I can attest to that.
Okay, so, and then when did you start tattooing?
It was June of 2008, so almost right at 12 years ago. Well, that's when I started my apprenticeship. So
Yeah.
tattooing like full time, like taking like regular customers and stuff was probably about a year and a half or somewhere around there. After that, when I started actually, if a walk-in came in, I got to, at that point I was at the point where I didn't have to go over to like Matt or whoever else and be like, "Hey, do you think I'd be able to do this? Should I take this?" So the point where I could figure out like what I was capable of was
Right.
probably about a year and a half later ish.
Gotcha.
Around there.
So it was about a year and a half apprenticeship working under just one artist, or do you work under multiple?
Well, so the owner, Matt,
I guess I don't know how this all works. I guess I should ask that. Like, what is the typical journey for a tattoo artist to basically go from I want to be a tattoo artist to actually, having a book of business and people calling you?
So I always liked tattoos, I guess. I didn't really know anybody that had them growing up. There was one neighbor, I'm trying to think of his name. What was his last name? McCord. It was my older brother's friend, his dad. And his dad, like, he built like choppers and stuff. And
What a cool neighbor.
and dude, so you'd hear those things going by, and it was always so, like, I thought it was so cool. But his dad was like this gruff looking like biker dude, and he had like a couple tattoos, and I was terrified of him. I didn't want to go near him. Like so Corey's band would be practicing. Corey, is that his name? I think it was Corey. His band was practicing, or like when they would practice, I would like kind of try to go hang out with them, but I would like go to the end of their driveway and I wouldn't go closer because I was so scared of his dad.
Yeah.
But that was the only person I ever knew growing up that had tattoo. And then after that, yeah, I guess I think it was mainly because I started hanging out with the guys at the Anchor and at different shows, and I got to know Matt. But I never really was. I guess I never really had the point where I was like, I want to be a tattoo artist.
Right.
Like, before that, and then Matt one night at the bar was like, Sawblade, come into the shop tomorrow. I was like, okay, cool. And then I went in the next day and he was like, I got an opening for an apprentice if you want to do it. So I just quit my
No
job
kidding.
and started up. And that was
Super cool though.
so like before. It's not the most harrowing tale.
No, but I mean, you have a certain level of confidence in your artistic ability. Because if somebody said, "Phil, come into the shop. I want you to be I'd be like, you do not want me like trying to draw
Right.
on people's skin. Like it's just not in my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
I just don't have the skill set.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have 1 point from your past. An hour and 20 minutes.
Well, it takes time to get the good stuff.
So, but I really am curious though now. So we found out you're from Everett, Snohomish area, and
You grew up in what
grew
sounds
up
like
in
a supportive
artistic
house. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. My parents are like, dude, I'm so lucky. They're
Yeah.
the raddest people.
Yeah.
They're super rad.
Do you know how many people cannot say that about their
Dude, so that's the thing. Like growing up, like my parents are like, we were all every Sunday in church, and actually the school I went to until like middle school when we moved, the school I went to was in the church we went to.
Okay.
So everybody I knew was like these nice young families and all this stuff. So it wasn't even until I was in high school that I really even knew anybody that like their parents weren't together or like
Right.
It was such a difference because I was always in like private schools at like churches, and then went to like Lake Stevens, like just public high school, which was like, dude, a whole world of difference. It was
Sure.
crazy. But yeah, I never really realized how cool my parents were. Well, I didn't realize how cool they were until I was like in my 20s, because I certainly didn't think they were cool when I was a kid. But I didn't realize like how, I don't know, rare is probably not the right word, but how it's not quite regular for everybody's like parents to like be cool and be together, and you know.
well, and with the divorce rate at 50% of marriages, right?
Dude, I think it's like 60 now. Well,
Is it like
it's
60 now?
ridiculous. It's
But
crazy.
I mean, with that kind of rate, I guess at that time it would be literally 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But growing up that's so interesting. And I think so for me, growing up in church and stuff, I always felt weird because I didn't. As soon as I didn't have both parents, I totally like. I remember there was this one time this kid was complaining about his dad, and I got so pissed off. We were on this youth group thing, and his dad was one of the youth leaders, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to spend." I was like, "Man, I wish I got to spend time with my dad."
Yeah.
And he just shut up. I was like, I was hot. I was ready to throw hands.
That is true. That's I
was like, dude, I wish I haven't seen my dad in years. Like,
there is like a weird, like when you're in like a church community, like the church you go to, and the people like you, like all your friends are from the church and shit like that. It is weird when you do come across somebody. I can't remember the kid's name. There was a kid I knew, and he was like the only kid I knew whose parents were divorced. But that was like what? It was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Because everybody else, that wasn't even the case.
Yeah.
It was like extra bizarre, like in the church. And it, even like with the church, you know, divorce isn't even like, you're not supposed to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So even that end of it, just to hear about it was like, what? Real? Like, yeah, it's crazy.
I remember meeting my first, one of my first buddies who had divorced parents, and I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, church was Roman Catholic, or what is
Kind
kind of Unitarian,
general
sorta? Yeah.
Protestant.
Got it.
I get like, I don't know, like, well, I do. Okay. So that's actually, so the church that we went to was called Silver Lake Chapel. And it's right down, I'm trying to think of what the area is called. Right down in Silver Lake, you know where all that new, well, it was new like 10 years ago.
Long.
But there's like a big Fred Meyer and there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
So the church was there, and it
On
was
164th.
Yeah, it's right on the side there.
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty decent sized building. It wasn't like, kind of like a smaller church. It was pretty large at that point. And then, so this dude Vince Schott shows up, and he's like young gung ho pastor guy, and he comes in, and I don't remember how it all happened, but somehow he became like the head dude. Mm-hmm. And I was pretty young at this point, so I had no, it just was one, he's just the top guy now. But then, they changed the name at some point. I don't remember when it was, to All Nations Christian Center, which already is like, dude, just shyster alarms are just going off already. And so my dad for a long time was like a deacon kind of. Well, I don't know if in that kind of church if they have like official like deacon roles and stuff like that. But he was like the guy that they have like a handful of like the dads that would help old ladies to their
like
seats.
An usher.
Yeah, or they'd pass out like the little offering plates and stuff. Yeah, like just the kind of.
At my church, they called them ushers.
Yeah, an usher. So I don't know exactly when it all happened, or it might have been over several cases. I think I was like maybe 10 or 11 or something when it happened. So there was some shady shit apparently going on with all all the money coming in.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely like, I don't know what it was. It wasn't kosher. Like
Somebody was like scooping off the top maybe.
Well, it was the pastor dude.
Yeah, the young man.
Dude, his wife drove like a brand new Corvette. They had this huge gnarly house, and this was like, it was a big church, but it was all like young families and stuff. It wasn't like rich people at this church, but these folks were living it up, dude. And so my dad found out about all this like crazy money shit going on, and so he's like, we're getting out of here. But that's where we went to school. So everybody we knew was associated with the church, except I had one friend that didn't go to that church. So when we left, it was like, like when people leave like a religion, it was like what do they call that? The shit, what is that called?
Excommunication.
Yeah. Dude, it was like that. Like all my friends, like we couldn't hang out anymore. We moved to Snohomish, went to a new school. Like everything was just like washed. It was like brand new start over. Yeah. It was nuts, dude.
Yeah, if everything you knew was revolving around this church and the community and your school, everything, that's
it was crazy.
I remember there were like two big churches in Truckee, and it was like when people left to go from Calvary Chapel to go to Sierra Bible, I remember people were like, oh, I can't believe you would.
Dude, yeah, that's bad blood, man. And for sure.
The crazy part is like both pastors, like that town was super fortunate. Brian Larson and Wayne Hogue, both those pastors were like super great dudes, super to like, they were to the point on the word. They were like super wholesome pastors, like legit guys you would want to lead and like guys you would want to follow. And the division and it's all church politics, because when it gets into it, and that's a big part of the reason why I left the church for a long time, because I'm like, yo, like aren't we all on the same team? Like they call it like Christ is the head and the church is the body. Like we don't get along.
Yeah.
And because it just like anything else, as soon as man gets involved, like it gets cliquey, it gets whatever else. But Michelle and I were talking about this earlier today, or this morning, man. But just like the big deal, because I have this big problem with a couple churches that are super mainstream, and because I see some of the music videos they put out and stuff, and I'm like, that is a rock show. Like some of them you're like, yeah, that's worship music. Like that looks like a worship music video. But some of them they put out, I'm like, yo, you are like, because there are definitely, and I told her, I was like, it's well known in the music world. If you want to make money, you go play religious music.
Yeah, you go play for a church. You get dude, they get salary.
I had no idea about
dude.
this.
Any gear you want, because it's all tax free.
Yeah,
and a lot of these companies will sell to churches for cheaper. So all these musicians are getting like salary, and they want, dude, I need a new amp, charge it. I need a new guitar, charge it.
Yeah,
whole setup. Dude, they make and sell albums. So they go on tours to different churches, and it's a whole thing, dude.
I did not know.
And
that's where the money's at for sure.
And so, well, especially because, oh man, because we even told you like about tithe. We talked about tithing last week and everything else, but I mean, because a lot of the biblical teachings are to be really good with money, like to not borrow money, and so a lot of the money that these people get, especially in mega churches, where, because they're like, just like anything else with wealthy people, however, like whoever gives the most, it's a thing, it's a status thing, right?
Dude, at a church, like, your tithe, you throw in that big check, dude, you're top dog. You're getting invited to the pastor's dinner.
Is that true?
Dude, dude, yeah. It's like investors. It's like,
and so there's a lot of shady stuff that really does happen like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
And so when you break it down into that, like you see these guys with like multi-million-dollar houses, and they're like, oh well, and then so it's one thing if like you're writing books off of your own money and doing stuff like that, and you become a millionaire because you sold 1 million copies, or okay, I get that, I respect that. But when like your only source of income is like tithes and offerings, and you're buying a Corvette, or you're buying that stuff bothers me.
Totally.
I think that but so we were talking about this morning, how much people capitalize on religion, especially Christianity.
Oh, dude, it's huge
in America.
It's so huge. It's
huge.
Insane.
And interestingly enough, so Jess used to work for Dignity Memorial.
Oh yeah.
And so like Paul Allen had this has this like big mausoleum or whatever in Shoreline at Acacia, but she was telling me how much of a status thing mausoleums are, where these rich people will outbuy different mausoleums to like in competition to show that they have more money.
Oh yeah, it's like buying a space that's like buying like a fucking mansion. Like people pay millions for these plots.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
It's insane, dude.
Dude, rich people. Well, I mean, I guess when you have that much money, what are you supposed to do with it? But and so they spend money to show off, right?
And that's like the best part about being rich. That would be the coolest part.
And you're like, I have more than you, so check it out. And so
this is my boat I don't use. I just keep it in the yard.
And so then when it comes down to something like that, like you get a couple people like that where you're just totally cashing in.
Oh
and then it gets in the wrong person's hands, and
that shit goes crazy. The dude that was at the church that we left, he then, like, dude, his son, surprisingly, also has a big mega church now. And dude, it's like, have you ever seen the show Righteous Gemstones?
No.
Oh my god, it is HBO, I think.
Okay.
It's dude, it's so good. It's about a family that like they have like a church like empire pretty much.
Okay.
And it's a comedy, but dude, it's way good. You got to check it out. But yeah, it's like that. Like the dude's son is like, I saw a thing not too long ago for like an advertisement for his church, and it was like super hip and cool. And then the dad now, like they were in, I think they had a big place out in Spokane or something for a while, and now they have a church in Seattle. And dude, it's in like there's videos like on YouTube of like their services. It's like a circus, dude. It's like anybody that's not part of this church, like I could see like if you're part of the church and like you don't really see it because you're there every week and it just becomes routine. Anybody from the outside, you watch these videos and you're like, this dude is scamming all of you. This is all fake. You were all, dude, it's so nuts. It's so ridiculous.
So interesting.
And is it still called the same?
I don't know what his new church is called. I think the church is, I think each church had like its own little name and
Yeah.
theme and all that or whatever, you know.
I'd be so curious.
Had its own hustle at each one. But yeah, dude, it's bizarre to watch these videos.
You still go to church today?
I don't go to church now. I mean, I'm not against it, but I just it's so boring. It feels, I think it's because growing up in it all,
Yeah.
and like going to school it just all feels like I'm going to school. It's so boring. There was one dude, a friend of my parents, this guy Jeff Anderson, and he was like a theology professor. So when he would do like a sermon or whatever, it was always really interesting because it was like a history class or something like that. And he would go into like, he'd be like, so this is why they chose this word, because when you translate it, it means this,
Yeah.
and back then, you know, so forth, and just goes
He
through
would
all
go
these
into the Hebrew
all these cool little things
or the Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it always made it really interesting. But then all these other ones I've gone to, it's like, and it seems like most of them are like, the message is mostly for like a young family. Like, this is for your kids. It's like, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and so I've got, man. So me and Michelle talk about this kind of stuff a lot, right? And so there are what I would say, there are churches where I get fed at, and then there are churches where I'm like, it just loses. I'm lost to, or it just loses. I lose interest in it because.
Yeah.
But at one time it gripped me, and so the more I really study my Bible, and the more I get into it, like there are some pastors who are really animated and awesome, who I really enjoyed listening to, but now I listen to their I'll listen to their sermons, and I'm like, man, this is so vanilla. Like you're not going deep. You're not going to the point where I'm actually like learning about how I should be acting myself, or what I need to be doing to really improve and become more Christ-like. It's becoming something where I'm like, man, I spend so much time, and I see, but it becomes like a social thing, really, at some of these churches. And then you get to this point where I continue to listen, and I'm like, I know that Jesus did this. I know that Jesus did this. Like, I know all these things. I'm like, okay, well, when are we going to dig more into the Bible and learn something new? And then, but the message is the same message every week, and it's and
there's a lot of that,
and it's so and it just goes into the point where it's like every week it's just about getting people saved. So it's like basically like Kickstarter, like finding some way to really and these guys are passionate guys, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, but you know, and maybe it's not even fake, but maybe just whatever they're called to teach. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it feels like you're getting a pitch.
Yeah, it does.
I've been so far removed from it for so long. This is fascinating to me, as I always held church in sort of this high regard. I grew up Roman Catholic, and was part of the community. Went to Sunday school, played soccer with a bunch of kids it was a school in itself, but I didn't go there. Yeah. But I knew a bunch of kids played soccer, so I never even thought about this financial piece. And you nailed it, calling it a Kickstarter. Yeah, it's like a pitch.
Yeah.
For real.
So wild.
And so now, like, because pretty much on Sundays, I like to listen to a bunch of different messages, and because I'm so fascinated, and I'm so invested in it now, especially because I'd like to be a pastor, like, yeah, and so, or even just have a ministry of some sort. And so I start listening, and I'm like, man, you, like, this guy said one Bible verse the entire time. Yeah. And then the rest has just been life experience around this one Bible, and he didn't even dive deep into it. And so I've been listening to guys that probably don't have the same size attendance, but I learn so much, and I get so deep into it. And so we'll read entire chapters, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and I will feel myself become alive, like, just reading it. Yeah, it's like, it's wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of like pastors and dudes, I think, that like when they do speak, like they know, they know how to like make it interesting and make you want to listen to it. But I think it's like the same thing if you're looking, like, if you got a band and you're like, we got to find a drummer, we got to find a bass player. Yeah. Like, you're probably going to go through a lot of people before you find one that's actually like, oh, this fits, this feels right. Yep. Because there's so many different styles and different stuff, and I mean there's like a ton of people that do like, like the kind of give me the pitch Sunday school version
Yeah.
of church, but for a lot of other people, it's like same. All right, we talked about this last month, so what's next? Is there something new or something? Well, I guess it's as far as the Bible goes, there's not a whole lot new. There's not a whole lot of developments going on in the Bible.
In the Bible, but the way it reaches you is different depending on like the mature or your spiritual level of where you're at.
Yeah, just so it doesn't feel stale.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how it is with a lot of them. It just feels so stale and just beating that dead horse just over and over and over. Same story. Same
it wasn't until the quarantine that the last church I was going to became like that for me. And maybe it's because he's just sitting in his house with his family or whatever while he does this.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, and it's still a great church. They still do great things. But I'm like, okay, I don't think this is where I'm called to.
It's just not resonating.
It's not resonating like it was. And so now I'm actually going. I'm starting to attend the church that I met Michelle at, and that pastor, Pastor Gordon. I don't know his last name. That dude, super, like his stuff is thick. It's super deep. But
cool.
Anyways, total.
Yeah.
And so one of the things you were talking about, you're the pastor who would go into the Hebrew and everything. I think that's called, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's called like hermeneutics or hermeneutics.
Oh yeah. I know the word you're talking about.
Yeah.
I also don't know the word, but I know the word you're talking about.
So that's actually a class that I'm going to take next semester. They didn't offer it this semester, which starts in 2 days, but
that's cool.
yeah, I'm really interested in, because it's supposed to be.
Where are you taking it at?
So I'm doing Calvary Chapel Bible College online.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So with that, they're teaching you how to. The whole class is on how to dig into the theology properly and how to really find out all those interesting facts and find out why they use words the same way or a certain way. And so I'm really excited about that one.
Theology is like fascinating.
It is.
Like if you have somebody that is like knows like that kind of shit and they're like, and like that's the pastor or something, dude, it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
You could sit there all day and listen to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if they don't have that, no thanks.
And then
see you later.
And then you add a little relatability to it.
Yeah.
And that's like why I felt like even last week when we were talking, I felt like I didn't feel like myself come alive until we started digging into towards the end. When I listened to it this week to see how crazy I am and how much you mentioned some of the things that you caught about yourself, and so I realized how much I said
Yeah.
and I think
I'm a
it's
big
because
for sure.
I'm not used to. I feel weird telling my story in this platform, but I feel, but also I'm trying to remember it and then weed out the parts that don't matter.
Yeah,
and
a little self-editing in there.
Yeah, like, well,
you have a little processing time. Give it a little
that didn't matter. Delete.
Yeah, I don't know how much time you spent watching yourself on video or interacting with people. But when I saw myself, I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, every time, yeah. It gets a little less bizarre every time, but I don't think it's ever I don't think it'll ever not be bizarre.
Like, what a dweeb.
Yeah.
When there's things I do, there's things I've noticed myself doing that are maybe somewhat endearing and not so bad, and then things I'm like, oh, that's annoying. Like I'm annoying myself watching right now.
Yeah.
So it's been a learning process. I think we'll get better at it, but it's been a learning process for me. Just having that, it's very vulnerable, man, to see yourself on video and having a conversation.
And so that's why I didn't even ask him. I just published both of because I didn't want to listen. I didn't even.
Did you do any editing or anything?
No, nothing.
Just raw.
Well, because that's how I wanted to come out. So even though, you know what I mean, like. That's why that acoustic album I didn't even do a second take on anything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I messed up, whatever. And because of it, I hate the first two songs, but which are normally like those are good songs, but
yeah, those are the ones that draw you into the album.
Yeah.
Ben went the other way. He's like, if they can get through these songs, they'll love the rest of that shit.
Love the rest.
Well, that makes me think. So I think the practice that I speak to a lot of times is jiu-jitsu, and I've gotten in the last 5.5, 6 years I've been training jiu-jitsu pretty regularly and just gotten so much more humble in general because I'm constantly getting beat up by guys who
Oh,
should
yeah.
be able to beat me up, right? Or, you know, when you're an outsider looking at it. Now, jiu-jitsu guys 130 pounds can be freaking deadly, and my big black belt, he's, I don't want to say, he's not big. He's a small guy, but he is just
level.
absolute killer. Brian Johnson, who owns Northwest Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And so when I think pre-jiu-jitsu, if Ben would have posted that stuff, I would have been like, come on,
Right?
man. Like,
Yeah.
But now I just know that there's a practice there, and it will just continue to get better. And just the more we do it, just get the reps in, get choked, you know, whatever it is. And that actually was going to lead me to this question for you, because there's a certain level of confidence and probably humility as you're learning to like tattoo people. And I'm sure,
yeah, definitely.
Like, have you ever fucked up a tattato like really bad on somebody?
There's definitely been a couple times where.
I don't want it to impact your business, but maybe
Oh
in the
no! I
beginning,
mean,
right?
yeah, I think anybody can assume that would.
But like
definitely
you look
happen
at it and you're
some
like,
point.
ooh, that's bad.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple times where there was like misspellings, which are like, oh my god, like dude, like you cannot believe how quickly your stomach will shoot through like the core of the earth.
Oh my god!
When that
There's
first
that no regrets, dude. That you
all the blood just goes, and you just start cold sweating. It's terrible. It's like to the point now, which I think is kind of how it happens with everybody. You know, like I get, that's kind of like why you fuck shit up less when you get older.
Yeah,
is because you were so ashamed of when you did it when you were younger. Right. So yeah, like now I'll be like, all right, here's a pen. You write out exactly how you want it. We're going to check this, make sure that's correct. And then I'll have you check it out, make sure you like it. And then I'll get it drawn up and I'll show it to him. Be like, is this correct? Read it all out, make sure it looks right.
Yeah.
Just because, man, if there's one off, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Both of them I was able to kind of fudge it back in. But
but there's two. I mean, and you remember them, right?
Oh.
And it's, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to be that guy, right? That gives the misspelled tattoo.
Oh,
and then,
it's the worst.
Marcy, I love your new tattoo, but I think that's spelled wrong.
Dude, yeah. Dude, and that's the worst part is not if they realize it when you're at the shop, when it's fresh and you can just be like, okay, we can figure this out. It's if they get home and like 2 weeks later, somebody's like, that's not right. And then they come back in and it's a whole new process. Oh, it's terrible.
And then they're debating even coming back in because this dumbass
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. God bless him for coming back in. I wouldn't do
to
that.
see the guy who already fucked this up?
Yeah,
So
for real.
it makes me wonder how many times you did it other than those 2 times.
Dude, right, that I don't even know about.
Right.
Oh, dude, that keeps me up at night. Like, especially if there's any, like, if there's a day where I'm working on one and I don't know, like I'll take a picture of it and then I'll be looking at it later. I'm like, man, I could have done this or I could have done that.
Yeah.
And, oh, that's the worst. And all you can think about is just like, fuck, why did I do it that way? I know it would have looked good that way. Why did I even do that? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
But I
it's
think
terrible.
that the cool thing is, and the difference is, you continue to progress. You keep going. It's not like I think what happens with people sometimes is they'll have that major fuck up and they're like, I'm out. I'm not going to even this isn't my thing anymore. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
that can do
I'll
it.
just quit.
Yeah.
So-
It'll hit you hard.
So yeah, when we fuck up the first few podcasts, like we're just going to keep pushing through. We're going to
Oh, yeah, it's the only way you learn,
run it through the wall.
Got to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that made me think of how many curse words I had tattooed on my body.
We're crossing them out and covering them up. Yeah.
You had a lot. You
Like
had a-
that says slat. Like all of them, and like the next one is this one down here that we're gonna need to do some work on. I'm not even gonna say what it says on the bottom, but they're just some funny ones that he did because half the time. So this relationship between me and Sawblade is so probably different than most friendships with tattoo artists because half the time I have no idea what I'm gonna get tattooed until I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm like
Half the time,
it's just like,
you don't decide until I'm working on one, and then you'd be like, oh, what if you put a fried egg right here? I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
and so it'll literally be like this is how I know that I can carve out time to spend with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
our
that's like
attention.
the easiest way.
So
Get
we-
a little tattoo and then go get some Mexican food.
Yep.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And we hang
Throw
out.
out a
It's
little
like
bit.
we
Yeah.
hang out. I know I have one night a month at least
Yeah.
before this quarantine that we would hang out. So I'd get tattooed every month for like an
Yeah.
hour, 2 hours.
Yeah, it's
maybe,
coming at the end of the night, hang
Yeah.
for a bit.
then you
hang
go
for a
eat.
bit,
Yeah.
and then we would
That's
just
cool.
go eat and drink or whatever and hang out until I had to go home, and it's like too late for me to drive, and then I'll stay there.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But
That's amazing.
and so that pretty much the last like 10 years when
Yeah.
I was living in Washington, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And so some of these like hilarious tattoos that I have, I definitely decided at the moment that I got there.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd just be talking about random shit like, oh, this would be
Oh,
funny.
what about that?
You know, like, oh, that would be cool. Like, all right, do it.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
go for it. Which has that helped your So has my randomness helped your process at all?
I would
I'm
say so.
curious.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's, it's like you can't be prepared for it. So you just got to be ready for whatever.
So
Yeah.
Ben literally rolls in, and you guys will carve out time, but there's no plan. It's
No.
just
No.
let's
Rarely.
go. Yeah.
Every now and again, if it's something maybe we worked on previously
Yeah.
that we want to work on again, but even then it might be like, oh, let's do that next time. Let's do this instead. Or,
Yeah. And
Dude.
so like I have on the left side, I have a bear, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have a Sith bear.
Yeah.
So there's a bear with a cape and the Imperial logo on his chest, because what our conversation was, what would be more terrifying than a Sith Lord who was also a bear?
yeah. So we did the Sith
That
bear.
would
So we
be a
did-
terrifying adversary.
So we did
For
a
real.
Sith bear. And so
Yeah.
I know
Sith Grizzly would be terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
Because they're already terrifying.
Sithly.
Sithly.
Didn't work.
Sithly.
Yeah. Sithler bear. It's a
Well,
Sithler.
that's one letter off.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and that's a perfect example of, well, why not this?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, should we add a cape? Add a cape.
Do it.
Do it.
Well, you guys can disagree with me or not, but I find with especially male kind of friendship, we almost always are expected to have like a thing we're doing together to be able to hang out. So like for you guys,
Oh,
to
yeah,
hang
right.
out, like it might be kind of weird if it's like, hey, Sawblade, you just want to hang out?
Yeah, I guess
Maybe not
it is
anymore.
pretty rare though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to. Guys are so funny. I always figure it's probably tribal back in the day, right? Where we were.
Oh, yeah.
we were always doing something. We were
Fulfill
hunting.
your role in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
group.
Like we'd be hunting shoulder to shoulder, watching the big game. So even though we're just kind of hanging out, but we're doing a thing, right? Which
Yeah.
is we're going to catch that animal, but I'm going to bust your balls for 3 hours while we're waiting.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you guys are kind of doing the
Yeah.
new version of this tribal male.
Well, and then I mean,
Hanging
it's
out.
totally relevant once you become a man and get married, right? If you're thinking of tribal, like, because as soon as you get married, you have to have a reason.
yeah, there's got to be a reason.
There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
What do you guys
No,
want
we're
to do?
not just going to hang out. We got to. I'm getting tattooed.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit and stare at, and then they'll say something like, "Well, last time you guys just talked." Like,
I literally think that
That's
that's
okay.
why I would, and guys won't admit it, but I think that that's probably why 50, maybe above 50% of guys who golf, it's because
Oh,
it's
dude.
this, they know
Yeah.
it's this thing that's 3.5, 4 hours, and they can get away from their wife and kids, but they're doing a thing. They're not just hanging out with their buddy for 3.5, 4 hours drinking beer. They're golfing, but they're really just hanging out with their buddies
Yeah.
drinking beer, right?
Yeah, it's not to say that. I mean, golfers are like obviously like they're athletes, but I don't think anybody gets into golf because they're like, I want to be an athlete.
yeah,
Nobody gets into golf for that. They do it because they're like, I want to go drink beer for a few hours and
And just
hang
get
out
away
outside.
from everything. And
Yeah,
it gives me an excuse to do that.
it's a good way to do it.
So, okay.
well, and I can't tell you when I was married, which going into the next one has helped me. Like, I've had all these conversations ahead of time, because I would be like, man, I really just want to hang out with my buddy. But you know, especially when kids are added to the mix,
Yep.
it has to be justifiable.
You can't just go hang out necessarily. There's got to be a reason. There's
And
got to
so-
be a motive.
Which is why like things like CrossFit or jiu-jitsu or getting tattooed by your
Yep.
friend, are so
I lost the thing.
relevant.
There we go.
There's your thing. But yeah, so I think that probably ties into it.
That's fat. I would have never put that together for the tattooing thing, but now
Yeah.
I get what the real motivation is. Literally, your body's covered with the times that you could hang out with Sawblade.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Pretty much, like my entire back, my chest, my stomach, my sides, my thighs, my
That's your version of
literally,
golf.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's my version of golf.
That's his
I
goal.
love that.
And that's why I tell people, like, it's funny because they're like, I'm like, oh well, my tattooer is one of my best friends, and they're like, well, did you start tattooing you first? I was like, well, it's kind of the beginning of the friendship, but truthfully, like, I think there's 5, maybe 10 people where I'm like, these are my true friends,
Yeah.
no matter what. And
Yeah.
you two are both on that list, and you two are both you two are
Made the short list. There we go.
you two are both mentioned within the top 3.
Yeah.
Because I can't
Ba-boom.
even think of who the third one is right now.
I don't want to
So
make it
maybe I have
awkward.
3,
but,
maybe I have 2 friends.
but if you really rank, like, let's say you rank the top 3, I'm probably like number 1, or maybe Sawblade's like.
Well, I mean, I would guess that probably I'm number 1 as well. Tied for number 1, probably.
maybe a tie. Maybe
Probably,
a tie.
at least.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a participation trophy.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Burrito's 1, and
Well-
you guys are 2.
Okay.
Well, but honestly, like, because and my buddy Chris
By the way,
Linscomb.
this is a nicotine toothpick if you want one. It's a nice little.
What?
Yeah, give it a go.
Are you kidding?
Like
I've never even heard
a
of this.
cigarette's like 8 milligrams of nicotine. This is like 3. So even if you're not a smoker, it won't buzz you up and make you feel too weird.
That
I like them. They kind of wake me up sometimes.
Dude,
Try one.
Yeah.
where do you get this?
I will give you one for the
Amazon.
road. But yeah, it's this company called. What are they called? I guess they're called nicotine picks. But I ordered a
Oh, and it's like menthol.
yeah, it's like everything you'd want
Oh, it's spearmint.
inhaling smoke.
Dude, that's fantastic.
I didn't mean to
So-
interrupt, but I really
Yeah.
I didn't want you guys to miss out on the enjoyment I was experiencing
Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
that was being emphasized with this nicotine toothpick.
So I almost asked you for one of these last Monday, but
I never even heard of this.
Yeah.
and so
I'm always biohacking something, man.
Man.
You just let me know. I'll hook
Yeah.
you up.
Hell yeah.
You enjoyed the weed delivery system?
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
it's true, man. This guy knows his stuff.
I know my stuff.
Now, have you ever done the alcohol like gas?
No.
Where they like what do they do? Where they like have you ever seen that?
Where you inhale it
Yeah, they like
versus
you,
drink it, right?
Yeah, you just put it under like super pressure and the liquid will turn to gas in
and
the
you
chamber.
can get buzzed that way, can't you? Like,
Dude,
it's a-
I
it's
guess
a
it
thing.
gets you super drunk real fast.
and it's probably less hard on your body if you
Well,
think
because I
about
think
it.
like if you're breathing it in, your lungs probably so much more sensitive
and all
for
those
processing.
tissues are taking it in
Yeah, it's
versus
all-
like having to process through the liver.
yeah, like the
and all
mucous membrane and
Yeah.
stuff.
So now,
so much quicker.
Now, a question for workout people and women, or very vain men. Think about the calorie intake on this.
Yeah.
Think about you don't need to worry. You don't need to. For
Wait, would there be any calories then? How does
that's
that
my
work?
question.
Maybe like trace amounts would be my guess, but I don't think.
But so you're just blitzed. So you could just, and then you go hang out with all your
That
buddies, and
sounds
you're like,
super efficient.
Yeah.
I'm drunk too, but I'm not going
and
to be
I'll
fat
still look
tomorrow.
good in a speedo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're
We're gonna have to get some of that in here.
banana
Let's-
hammock on point.
We'll make that.
I'm interested in that.
We'll make that a goal. That's.
Yeah.
Well, you just said something funny that I was thinking about when we were talking about our hair. You know, Ben and I talked about some situations that are a little bit taboo for guys. Like one of the situations we've talked about in dating is us as guys feeling pressure to have sex with a woman, even though we don't really at that moment necessarily want to have sex, because for a variety of reasons. We don't want to disappoint. We don't want them to feel rejected. Like,
Oh yeah.
where was I going with this? So,
we talk about taboo situations,
Yeah.
like how
so where I was going was just talking with you guys. Like, I figure I know I'm a little bit vain. I always have been a little bit vain, but I assumed I was on an island by myself. But the more I talk to dudes, the more I realize, like,
Yeah.
no matter where we're all vain. It's
Oh
funny.
yeah. I think everybody is. I think it's just less common for dudes to talk about it.
Totally
But
less
I
common.
guarantee I'm every bit as vain
so
as
funny.
anybody.
I always wrote myself off as like, look, I know I'm a little bit vain for a dude. Like it's I won't push it in your face, but I know this about myself. Now every dude I talk to, I realize that there's a vanity that we all
Yeah.
have
Oh
a
yeah.
certain level of.
Yeah, it's always
well,
there. I think.
and it's funny. I was actually thinking about this. on my way here, because I had my beanie on, and I thought about how Phil always has the fashion sense dialed in.
I don't know about that, but
He's the fashion guy.
He's the fashion guy. Well, he's always wearing these like shirts,
Maxinista.
these shirts that look like they're $500 because they're like perfectly like fit to whatever to
Perfectly
show off his huge arms and whatever.
Do you get your shirts tailored after you take them to your tailor?
I
and
have
them?
before, but no, this is just off the rack.
And then
Damn.
and then he wears his beanie the trendy way where it's like super high up on your head. And I've been told that I wear my beanie wrong because I wear it right here.
You look like a Hoover.
I do.
From the South.
Yeah. and so, but I was thinking about that because that's kind of why I took that picture of all of our feet, because I've been so curious about different styles, right? And so like I'm, wearing skate shoes, a white shirt, regular pants, but I'm so particular about
Your footwear.
my footwear. So particular about my footwear and my watches.
Interesting.
And so, I gave a pretty sweet watch to Sawblade once, actually. But like, so with this and that, super particular about, but this and this, not as important.
See, now you got to get a pair of boots like that to match your watch.
I know, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you could get like matching boots. Like you could have
You
like a
could
watch
rock-
that matches each like shoe
could
you
rock
wear.
that.
Which is interesting also, because another thing I was thinking about was I need to get work boots because recently, what the actual thought process was, man, wearing Vans, doing manual labor for 12 hours a day
Oh,
is
Not enough support.
is pretty nuts.
That's
And
plantar
so-
fasciitis right there, guaranteed.
I haven't, and I mean, it's been years. It's been 3+ years since I did manual labor, and so now going back into HVAC the last few weeks, I literally have worked 45+ hours within a 4-day time frame every week, and I'm wearing these. I'm wearing the same pair of Vans that I've been wearing like every day here, but and so that's why I asked about your boots. I was like, man, those boots look nice and fancy. Would I feel like I've heard about this trend. I see he's got these fancy ass boots too, and so I'm like, are
Do you need
those
a pair of fancy boots?
are those boots for work or are those for fancy ass people?
Well,
like
for
Phil?
me, all shoes are work shoes because I sit. But actually, the wedge heel, I was reading, because the main reason I ended up getting some boots was because I was always wearing Vans for my whole life, and then I got plantar fasciitis.
Yep.
And I read it was a list, and specifically it was this brand and this style of boot with the wedged heel. Something about it makes it so it doesn't flare up, and ever since I've been wearing these, I haven't had a problem with it.
So a thing about Vans, you remember I always wore Vans forever, and then I stopped probably like 4 years ago because I was having issues with my feet. And so we were talking about this not too long ago. I got one of those crazy balls after I started doing CrossFit and found out how I didn't have knee problems. I had probably never pulled the lactic acid from my ankles or from my calves or my shins all the way up to what, because lactic acid only moves that through your body from physical movement. So I'd never rolled out, and so I thought my knees were horrible for so long. And I spent like 2 hours rolling out my legs, and I felt like my knees were the knees I had when I was 18.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Really?
I was like, I don't have bad knees. But so I tried it with my feet, and then all of a sudden I could wear Vans again after I just rolled out my feet with one of those balls.
There you go.
Yeah, dude, those things, they work. But dude, they hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt so bad.
And the first time you ever roll out your calf, like I did it on a kettlebell.
I've never tried rolling the calf before.
Dude, it is.
the worst.
You can barely touch. Like, so I sit and I put it on a kettlebell and just start going back and forth, just slowly up, and for like 10-15 minutes. And the first time I did it, I couldn't even rest my leg on
Sensitive.
the kettlebell. It's so sensitive.
Sensitive.
That's crazy.
But now, like, I'll do it every night, because if I don't do that and the shins, then my knees start to lock up, and I feel like they're gonna buckle.
What
or
about
something.
those foam rollers? Andy's got one of those. Do
That's
those
what I
work?
use. Oh, I use those also.
So you just like run your like leg over it like
So
that, or
I'll before we leave,
We'll give you a little
I'll give you-
tutorial.
yeah,
I got a
we'll
bunch.
give you
I got a bunch of tools for
Yeah.
said mobility and things. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy's got all that stuff, but I don't know how any of it works.
Yeah, so Andy, his wife, is a triathlete,
Okay.
and she's got a goal right now to podium.
Is that right?
Yeah, she wants to podium, I think. Well, I guess at everything you would want to.
Yeah.
But I think she really wants to at like a
high level,
what's the triathlon?
the Ironman.
So she does the Ironman competitions, but I think what she was saying, she wants to podium first at Olympic distance. Is that what it's called? That's
Yeah.
like that's the one that's shorter.
Yeah. So it's like what is it? I don't know.
It's like I can't remember the distances are, but
it's like a mile swim or something.
yeah, like a mile, something like
20
that.
miles on the bike,
And then like
a 10K run.
Yeah, 10K. Yeah,
Right. It's more like
Or
a
a half
sprint than
marathon.
okay.
So because
Yeah.
the first one I did was a sprint, and it was a
5K.
half mile swim,
and a 5K run or a
Yep.
6 or something like
and
that.
and then like a 15-mile bike ride.
Yeah.
No interest in triathlons.
No
I just
thanks.
don't like to run unless I'm sprinting, like
Dude.
doing some quick sprint work.
Well, and so the reason I did that, and the reason like I tried the Spartan, is because I remember there was this dude, Dr. Dave, in my church, who everybody was like,
That's a dude with a name you remember.
He's a chiropractor.
Hell yeah, that's a good commercial
he's
right
an
there.
animal. Yeah. He's an animal. He was a beast. And everybody, and I remember, because I never really did any formal research on anything athletic. And so they were like, oh, well, he's a triathlete. And so there was this huge stigma in my mind that a triathlete was when you became a triathlete, if you could do that, that's how you became a badass. So I did a triathlon. And I was like, man, what's next? And so then I did the Spartan. And then as soon as I tasted CrossFit, I was like, oh man, that stuff is weak.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I'll go do a Spartan race for fun on the weekend, and
Totally.
then that'll be like a normal workout for me now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, you do a sprint Spartan. Oh, okay. Or I could just do Murph. Or I could just do like,
What's Murph?
You know.
so you wear a 20-pound. So I actually did it on Monday because they do it every Memorial Day. And so you wear a 20-pound weight vest,
Oh, I want to pick up one of those. My little brother was telling me about that.
and you do a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, then another mile run.
How does it get the name?
So Michael
question.
Murphy, have you ever was he a Navy SEAL? Is
He
that
was
a
some high level military.
high level
dude.
military dude?
Special forces or something. I don't know.
And so they did. It's called a Hero Watt, and so the CrossFit was started by Navy SEALs, but they have these different heroes who they do workouts in honor of their life.
Oh, okay.
He was he the American Sniper, or he was?
I don't know. See,
I don't
this is
know.
one of those moments where if I start saying I know, then I'll feel shameful
You're gonna
when
feel
I'm going to
super
be
dumb.
totally wrong.
I know. I feel that's why I knew I was going to feel stupid going into the thing, but I'm going to take that
They're
step.
all like named at,
Yeah.
they're named
Yeah,
after somebody.
some hero workouts are named after guys that have given their lives for the country, or just super accomplished.
Yeah.
Like this guy Michael Murphy, who's just a fucking badass. Yeah, and it's a hard workout, which
Yeah.
I've never done, but
It's
that's
super
why I haven't
difficult.
done it.
I've only done it 3 times.
Yeah.
I did it twice this
But
year.
you do it
and
every
once last
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
It's a CrossFit
Oh, I
tradition
see.
where the CrossFit gyms will do Murph typically on Memorial Day,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
year. And so on
cool.
holidays we do hero workouts
Yeah.
in regards to like
Well, that's cool.
Exactly.
That's like the name. So this might totally not be true. I don't know, but I've at least heard that a jumping jack is called a jumping jack because you know that TV dude Jack LaLanne.
Oh yeah.
I heard that he invented the jumping jack,
That's interesting.
and that's why it's called jumping jack.
I did not know that, but it seems like a
Which,
random fact.
if it's true, how fucking old is that guy that he made up a jumping jack? Because
Right.
that shit's been around forever.
a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
Is he's got to be dead now, right?
I don't
Is he
know
still
if
alive?
I don't know if he's dead or not. But he was like, yeah, like he was. I remember he was still putting out videos where he's
The
wearing his
juicer?
jumpsuit and
Yeah.
doing like leg raises and shit. Like the guy's a beast for an old guy. He's like 80. He was at least like 80.
Oh, yeah, he was old.
Now I
He was
gotta
real
look.
old.
Now I got to look at some point.
Yeah.
So, man, I feel like we have definitely gone over a lot of random facts, but now I'm still curious. So, we talked about how you're a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
You skateboard, you play music, you're married. What are some of the other, some of the other interesting facts random facts about Sawblade?
Yeah.
So you had your
that's
parents
tough.
your parents are still together. You went to high school, which is a world different than. So post high school, you didn't do any college or anything.
I took a few classes at Everett Community.
Okay.
But I think it was found out pretty quick.
It wasn't for you.
Was not for me. Yeah. I think school, at least the way that our school now is structured, does not work for my brain at all. Not even a little bit. And also, I didn't find out that I needed glasses until I was like 25 or 26.
Dude, I had a very similar thing happen to me. I didn't realize I needed glasses, and
yeah, I think that's half of why I did so poorly in school. Because I couldn't, like, I remember being in school and never being able to see what was on the board.
Yeah.
But I also didn't really care enough to be like, oh, maybe I need glasses.
Yeah.
I need to be more astute. Because I didn't care. I just really didn't care at all.
The funny thing is, he has done so much research. I feel like, weren't you diving into numbers and stuff for a while?
Yeah, I did get into that for a little bit. Prime numbers.
Okay.
Dude, you want to go down a rabbit hole. Dude, look up prime numbers.
I
And
wouldn't even know where to begin.
dude, just the relation of, it's crazy. You can dive so deep
Tell
on
us a
this
bit
shit.
about it.
Yeah, please.
So if you just think about, I mean, I guess first of all, just the idea of like mathematics and like numbers. I mean, certainly, like all the mathematics like we know of, at least have been presented by people. But there's been multiple different people. What was like that Indian guy that I can't remember how it started. He knew like basic like elementary school math or something like that. But then just through using that and expanding upon it, he taught himself geometry and trigonomics and calculus and dude, all the way up to like super high level shit, but only knowing just the basics.
Okay.
So it kind of makes you think more of like, not that like we created mathematics to explain the world around us. It's like we discovered it. Like,
Okay.
and then if you look into, dude, like prime numbers are nuts.
Like, does that tie into like the Fibonacci sequence and all that stuff?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's like,
We've just reached the extent of my knowledge on all this.
yeah.
I don't
yeah.
even know what that is. So
What's the Fibonacci? That's like the same as the golden ratio.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's what gives the shell that shape. It's what is it? Like every number is the sum of the two previous numbers. So I guess the first one is 0, I guess. And then you go to 1, and then you have so there's two sections that are the same size. So you have 1 and 0. So you have 1, and then you put those two together and you have 2, and then 2 and 1 is 3, 3 and 1, so forth. And that will give you that like perfect spiral shape. But that shape happens a lot like in nature.
But then also with like human faces, like the more attractive, what
Yeah.
we would call the more attractive human faces,
Yeah.
are ones that adhere to that golden ratio, right? Am I right,
Yeah.
or am I bullshitting?
No, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, if it's that and symmetry.
Yeah, and so you start thinking about things like women getting plastic surgery, getting their lips done, getting their eyes done, facelifts, and what feels strange about that, I think, and I've heard this theory, is that they're going outside of that golden ratio when they're modifying their face. So even though it's technically it looks pretty, there's something off about
Yeah,
it because
it gets like that uncanny valley almost
The
kind of
uncanny-
area where
that's
it's
where I
like
was going, yeah.
it's a bit too perfect. It's
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So there you go. You just
Interesting.
learned something about the
Yeah.
golden ratio. Do you use, when you're tattooing, like when you look at like Ben's back, for instance, he's got a massive piece on his back, right?
Yeah.
it took us like 50 hours.
When you
Yeah.
when you look at that, are you looking at it holistically? Are you looking at it in sections, or do you not even know? You just start like, because I would fuck it all up. This would be too big, and like the eagle would have one massive wing and one little like.
Yeah, I guess for that, like it depends on what you're doing.
And it may be so second nature at this point for you, like you don't even pay attention.
Yeah, I mean,
to
there's
your process.
definitely like ways you learn like how to draw stuff.
Yep.
But as far as like trying to use like certain ratios that are more pleasing to the eye, I didn't really start doing that until more recently.
Okay.
Where I would go out to design something, whether kind of more like how painters will lay out their canvas, and they'll have the subject here and they'll have this here, and then you do a certain amount of like suggestive either lines or a series of objects that draw your eye to a certain spot.
Like they like travel to.
Yeah, it's because I think as far as I've read, like with a painting at least, I think. Well, I don't know, probably not for all styles, but for a lot of styles, you want the design so your eyes don't just only look at one spot, because it kind of wastes the rest of it.
Yeah.
Like you want something that makes your eyes, like you want to guide somebody's eyes around the painting. And there's people that can do that, man. They'll paint stuff where you can show it to somebody that's never seen it, doesn't know anything about art or anything, and they'll look at one spot first, and then their eyes will trace how the artist wants them to like look and experience it. I have no clue how to do it, but
Yeah.
there's people that do, and it's incredible.
So one of the exercises that my wife was doing in the drawing on the right side of your brain is she forced, so you get into that right side of your brain. One of the ways to do that is like just draw the picture from an upside down subject.
Yeah.
So my wife was, or actually she turned the picture she was trying to draw upside down and then drew it from that way, because she said it almost causes enough, I'm going to butcher this, but it almost causes enough confusion that you can't overanalyze, because it doesn't look like a thing, like an actual picture. You're drawing just parts of it, and because you're doing it upside down, it's allowing the creative part of your brain to work harder, and it shuts down that analytical part a little bit. Yeah. So she drew she's got a couple of dope pictures that she drew upside down, and then really you only see the picture when you turn it.
Yeah, totally.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for like when someone gets to the like. I think that's like one of the big differences between when someone's just like sketching and doodling, and when somebody can draw something or paint or whatever it is, where it's like, whoa, that's like impressive. I think it's the point where, because you can't like go in and do like some drawing or painting or whatever it is and be like, I'm gonna paint a cup, because you can't just put a pen down and stamp a cup. You have to do, I'm gonna do, you have to do like a curve here and then like oval on the top
and
then,
the shadows and
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so you're not drawing a cup, you're just drawing a bunch of shapes and gradients and stuff that eventually will make a cup.
And
if you go into
that,
if you go into it like this is a cup, like it's going to look like a kid's drawing of a cup,
which is what my drawing looks like, because
Perfect.
that's like from an audio perspective, I feel like I have a very kind of advanced understanding of music and patterns, and even though I'm not formally trained in any of that, but from a visual, I'm maybe like an 11-year-old.
Well, yeah, it's like the same thing with music, like if you're putting together a track, like you don't make song. Like you put together a beat, and then you put together some pads and some leads and
add
some
some
bass
elements,
lines and I think it's like in any art, I guess. Like you don't. That's the point when you start getting good at something, is when you can break it down into all the smaller points that make it up.
I was telling a friend this the other day when I started. I've always been a music lover, right? And when I started DJing, I went and sat with a buddy who was a pretty well accomplished DJ to kind of show me how to do it. And it actually, initially at least, took a lot of the magic away of listening to music, because all of a sudden he was pointing out these patterns and these predictability that I never noticed before, because I was listening to a song as a holistic piece. I wasn't listening to these different parts. But once you start DJing or creating music, you sort of have to understand and break it apart to see. And then, so there was a time where I kind of started liking music less when I was first starting to DJ, because I was paying so much attention to the pattern and analyzing it. But then I came out of the other side in this evolution. Now I love music more than ever. So it was like this graduation from that. And you've probably experienced the same thing when you're drawing, or you've experienced it with music too, where the magic's back. It's just different. You have way more knowledge, and you understand processes and the pieces and all the parts, how they fit together.
Yeah, there is definitely I think especially, I mean, there is, I think with like visual art, tattoo and stuff like that, but definitely with music,
Yeah.
you definitely get to that point where, like, when you finally view behind the curtain and you're like, what?
This is it?
Yeah. And yeah, I was telling a buddy about that. We were listening to a song, and there was, I can't remember what song it was, but it had an 808 bass, but it had the, 909 hats with it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They're kind of putting those together. And he was like, so you can tell like what the difference is. And I was like, yeah, I mean, once you kind of familiarize yourself with once you use them and you know the different sounds, you can kind of pick that up. And he was like, man, but like, what a boring way to listen to music.
Totally.
And it is. Yeah, when you first start that's how it is it's like you just start analyzing it, and so you kind of have to relearn how to step back and look at the big picture again.
Exactly what happened.
Because you just get so muddled down in the details.
Yeah. You go from this like holistic, beautiful, artistic like appreciation of the end result of this thing to understanding all the parts. And then I think that's where I lost the magic for like 6 months, and then it came back with a different level of appreciation once I was able to understand how they all went together again.
Yeah, once you break on through to the other side, it is much better.
Yeah.
But it does take a bit where you're just like, whatever.
I just squeezed all the magic out of this thing that I was so in love with for so long, and now it's, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a greater appreciation for it after, I think.
For sure.
That makes me think of how many times I've told people I can make a beat in a minute, in 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. I'm like, yeah, in 5 minutes I can give you a whole beat.
Oh yeah.
And people would be like, no way.
Yeah.
Like that track Everything, I filmed myself making that and sent it in a video to somebody. And I was like, and some of my favorite songs literally come from me just making an 8-bar loop, just stacking a few different. I say, okay, first, the way I like to start it is I like to start with a chord progression. So I'll go over there, and then what I'm going to do is from there I'm going to add the drums that I hear. And so now I got to add a bass line so I can match it up with that, and then I'm going to throw a lead on top, and then when the chorus comes, I'm going to add a different lead, and then I'm going to add more cymbals because I really like to build up big dynamics. And so I go through this process and record, just like blah, 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 there you go. And then I record it, and people are like, that's my favorite song on your album. I'm like, that's my favorite song on my album.
Yeah.
And it took the least, and that song, and Everything specifically, I made the beat in like 5 minutes. I wrote the song, and recorded it in a day, and the next week we'd filmed a music video for it, and then the next week it was up. And I've only done like 5 music videos in my entire music time frame, but in 2 weeks, and if you think about it, in actually 3 days of actual work, I had my most put together piece of art.
Yeah.
From the entire album.
Well, that's the best stuff, is the stuff that like, I mean, there's definitely like stuff you work on a long period of time.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, the masterpiece. But like all my favorite shit I've ever like done definitely is like, you just get the drum machine out and you put some shit over like 10 minutes and just start jamming. It's like, it's just the ones that just click.
Yep.
There was I don't remember what dude it was, some producer, and he had said that if he's working on like a new track or anything, if he doesn't have something like solid that he's like jamming on within 30 minutes, he just scraps the whole thing. He's like, if I don't have it by 30 minutes, I'm not going to have it after 3 hours.
Yep.
Like if it's not already, if the structure's not already there, it's not going to be there.
Another interesting thing about beat making that I don't know if you've experienced this, but and I know you've heard like all of my beats that are from the simplest to some of the more complicated. And since I don't hear the vocals as I'm making the beat, I way overcomplicate the beat. I put too much into a beat.
Always. Every single time I've got to take stuff out.
Like not leaving enough space for the vocal.
Yeah, you got to let it breathe, because
of the vocal is such an important instrument to any track.
Yeah, it's like that's it. That's the point. Everything else is just a structure.
It's just accompanying it. But since you don't hear that, I make something else the focal point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever did this, talking about breaking down music, but it gets to a point like where I'll be listening to certain music where I can zone in right on one specific thing, and I'll focus on that for the entire song and have no idea what the other part of the music is like.
Yeah. When I was drumming in the punk band for years,
it always happens to me with drumming, with wanting to learn drum shit.
For years, I would listen to songs, and I swear I would only hear the drums.
You're only keyed into the
yeah. And it could be a song I listened to every day, and I couldn't tell you what the guitar sounded like or any lyrics.
Yeah.
All I could hear was the drums.
It's funny you guys say that. When I remember, we talked earlier about our relationship with cannabis, and I remember going to a buddy's house and getting way too stoned back in the uncomfortable anxiety paranoia day.
Yeah.
But we were in a dark room, listening to Music for the Masses, Depeche Mode, and I can't remember the song, but there was one part where there was a sound that I always noticed in the song but never paid attention. But when I was stoned, I realized it was a ping pong ball that was being dropping, and it was going clack, 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 clack. And it was a ping pong ball for sure. I know this, but I would not have had that awareness and been able to pull that out. This was my pre-DJ days, but I was stoned, and I just I was drawn to this one particular sound, and it forever changed that album and that song for me, because now when I listen to Depeche Mode, The Layers, and still one of my top bands, right? So
yeah, there's a Depeche Mode song. I can't remember the name of it now. We wanted to cover it in our old punk band, but there's a part in the opening where I think it's just like a wrench just being just like hammered on, I don't know, like a girder or something steel, and it's in the song like every, I don't know what it is, like every fourth beat there's just one little chung. And dude, every time I listen to that song, like that's the song.
Yeah.
If it didn't have that, it'd be a good song, but it's just that one extra sound in there, that weird fucking industrial chung, and the whole sound, like the whole thing has changed.
Did you ever watch the the Joy Division movie that came out a while back? It wasn't a documentary. It was kind of like a story about Joy Division.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I'll think of it. It's a great movie. But there's one song that Joy Division does where there's always this little ksh, 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 and the dude is they show them in the studio. They recreate the studio moment where the guy's got like a little
aerosol can,
can, and he's going ksh, ksh,
that's awesome.
Mic. So dope. Yeah.
Man,
I cannot remember the name of them. I'll get it before you guys leave.
That's rad.
Because with that, just stuff like that really hangs with me. Like, where did these guys get the idea to bang the wrench on the thing, or to drop a ping pong ball, or to have an aerosol can?
Yeah.
Out of all these instruments and all these plugins and all these things, but you got an aerosol can and a mic. And
the simplest,
crazy.
dumbest
So
thing, and it's
cool.
like perfect,
and it makes it. It's like that extra.
That's crazy.
Very interesting.
Things to think about. I know we've been banging out on the time, so I want to make sure. Is everybody all right on time?
No, I got nothing to do.
Well, that's a good question. So you're a tattoo artist 100% of the time, right? That's your gig. And with this quarantine thing, they just shut you down, right? Like you can't do any work on anybody, and so you're not essential, dog.
No.
How's it feel?
Not
to
even
be
slightly. Not even a little bit.
I mean, apparently most of us are non-essential,
Oh yeah.
So
certainly tattoos. Like you don't need tattoos to live.
You don't, but I mean on that note, like
You do.
Well, I need people to need tattoos to live.
But what is your theory? So what is your theory? I always wondered about this. This was something I was thinking about as you were coming over there. Like, are there like 3 or 4 kind of base reasons people get tattooed, or is it just all across the board? Like, do you say, oh, this is a person that's, they're nostalgic, and this tattoo is to anchor this part in their life that was really important. You know what I mean? Like, do you see a pattern with, especially if you watch like Prime Numbers and stuff, do you see a pattern with people in general when they come in to get tattoos? Like there's 3
definitely.
or 4 or 5 different reasons most people get tattooed.
There's a lot of like memorial kind of stuff. You know, a lot of people coming in, they're like, here's a picture of like,
Honoring memory.
yeah, my grandpa had this tattoo. I want to
Yeah.
get the same one, something like that. And then there's the classic, you know, you gotta look tough.
Yeah.
You gotta have a cool tattoo.
Yeah.
That's probably a huge part of them. Lately, well, I guess not lately. When I first started it was kind of there, but now it's probably the biggest section of clientele is just the fashion side of it.
Okay.
Just like all those kind of little cutesy tattoos, or I mean, anytime Rihanna gets a tattoo, for months there's girls coming in.
We want the same tattoo?
Dude, every weekend you'll have a
Really?
handful of girls every weekend come in and get the same tattoo.
So funny.
Or like I mean, just whatever the current hot
Yeah.
tattoo is or something like
I mean,
that.
and you could probably talk for hours, but like these people that come in and get these copycat tattoos, right? Like there's just that's really.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
And like I know you try probably to not be biased when folks come in. Like do you get biased when somebody comes in and like one reason doesn't seem as legitimate as another reason? Like the person coming in to do the memorial, you're like, wow, that's really cool, honoring your grandfather. And then you got the sorority girl coming in who wants the copycat of Rihanna tattoo. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's less what they're getting. I don't know, like. I guess, you know, some girl getting some Rihanna tattoo, they're doing all the same thing that someone getting like some memorial things doing.
Sure.
Essentially.
Yeah.
It's really like the only ones that really get to you are just like the annoying people.
Yeah.
Like you'll get people that come in, and there'll even be ones like, you know, I've had people come in that are super nice, just regular cool people, but they just don't shut the fuck up. and not that I don't want to talk to people, but
Right.
they'll just go and go
Yeah.
and go. And then the tattoo will be done and they'll hang out and just keep going and going. Or they'll show up like an hour early. It's like I get it, dude. Like I get that. I mean, obviously you're really into this, or
Yeah.
you wouldn't be doing it permanently. But
Yeah.
this is still my like it's a job.
a job. I got other people to
I got
tattoo.
another client here. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I got shit I got to take care of.
I
Or just
didn't want
like,
to say that that's me, but
No, I was just gonna say, hey, can you put a taco right here
Yeah.
on my I know you got one. A tortilla
Yeah.
chip or whatever, right?
yeah,
party hat.
yeah. Mostly it's just if the person's annoying, it's like, all right, let's get you in
Yeah.
and get you out. Like I don't want to spend any more time with you. I need
Are
to.
there and I don't mean to, I'm just fascinated by the tattoo thing, and I think a lot of people are, and especially like so rarely do you actually get to talk to an artist, because when I've gotten tattooed, you know, the guy who's done the majority of my tattoos, big Samoan guy, super sweet guy, but he like literally goes into a trance, and so there's no talking. We don't talk. It's like he comes in there, does work. He doesn't even, we don't plan it. He just
Oh yeah.
huge hand, grabs my wrist, ready to go, and then just starts tattooing. You know,
Yeah.
no pre-planning, no nothing. He's
Yeah,
just,
I guess with Ben and with other like close friends, we'll chat while we're working.
Right.
But with most customers, yeah, I usually don't. Actually, a lot of people comment on how little I talk.
Okay.
Yeah, so with a lot of regular customers, it's kind of the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like you just kind of lose yourself and like, you know, just try not
Yeah.
to fuck up.
But he knows that with me, he can fuck up.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is probably a bit of a relief, right? Like you could fuck up on Ben, and you guys will laugh about it, and he'll have he'll have a lopsided taco on his forearm,
Yeah.
and he'll still come back.
Yeah, totally.
Gotcha. Is there tattoos that you like tattoo where you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun one to do versus other?
Oh
ones?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
What's your favorites?
I mean, really just anything. If someone's like, if it's just like a cool idea or
Okay.
something I haven't done before, or just something that's, the best ones are super bizarre out there shit that I can tell like the other artists about and be like, oh, I did this one. Cause it's
it.
almost like a collection, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
over time you kind of collect stories of like weird ones that you've done.
Yep.
And you know, weird ones that, you know, like no other artist has done or unlikely they've done.
Right.
Little collections of oddities.
Very cool.
So he's probably got a lot of stories about me.
I'm sure. you're like a walking oddity.
Yeah.
Well, something
I think that's pretty accurate.
Right?
something that's interesting to me is, especially hearing this, because I feel like there is such a culture. Because when I started getting tattooed, it was not cool. Like it was not as cool as it is today.
Definitely not as widespread for sure.
Definitely not as widespread. And even at hardcore shows, punk shows, like that, there's Tattooed Ben. You know, like there's the guy with all the tattoos. I mean, now it's just everybody. But even then, like even when I started, they were like, "Yo, like this guy's got so many," and I wouldn't have very many compared to today. But so there, I feel like that people hear about, especially like with me, like Sunken Ship is like a family to me. When I go there, I talk to everyone, and everyone talks to me. We're on social media, like they will make sure if I am on social media and they post something, I'll like it or whatever. But will actually have discussions with me, and people are like, "Oh, that's Ben from Sunken Ship," and so there's this social aspect.
Yeah, there's people that'll come in when he's there. Like we'll just be hanging out, and they'll come up to the counter when Ben's there and be like, "Oh, so I was just trying to," and he's like, "Oh, I don't work here."
Yeah.
But I feel like there's this social aspect too, where a lot of people, especially the people who come in early and stay late, is they'll see people like me who, like, even if I'm not getting tattooed, I'll be at the shop hanging out.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the area, right? And so they'll see that, and I feel like a lot of people, they'll think of it like an inner circle, but it's not an inner circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like your friends.
But they'll want to be. I wonder if you've noticed any aspect of people wanting to be like.
Oh yeah, I mean there definitely is that.
Like
to
they're
it.
almost getting tattooed to be part of the social.
Yeah,
the social aspect.
I mean there's definitely a scene to it for sure. Because there's a lot of people that get tattooed that aren't artists themselves, like aren't tattoo artists. But there's people that come in. There was a girl, what was it, not too long ago, and we were up at the counter, and just some like regular looking chick, I don't know, early 20s or something like that, and we were talking about this one tattoo artist, Mike Chambers is his name, and I couldn't remember his name, and I was trying to describe him to my buddy. I was like, he's the guy that's got these things under his eyes, on his face, and the girl there, she's like, "Oh, Mike Chambers," and I was like, "Oh, like." You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It just looked like a regular, but that's kind of how it is with like the scene of people that get tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a whole huge scene of that they go to the conventions and they get done by certain artists, or they'll go travel somewhere to get tattooed.
I think the more I hear that, I think it's so interesting because I don't fit into that.
Me neither.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I know you don't.
I didn't even know it was a thing until a while after I started tattooing.
That like literally, and this conversation has been pretty eye opening to me too, because it really is just like our golfing trip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there, like people, you'll see people comparing tattoos, or like, "Oh, you got to see this, you got to see this," and I'm like, I never even think of, like, even for years, even when I had a lot less, I'm not like, "Oh, you need to see this," unless it's like somebody like you. I'll be like, "Oh, this is a funny tattoo, I'm gonna show Phil," but I don't tap into that, and so I feel so lost sometimes around other people with tattoos, because they'll start talking about all this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a hobby group.
Yeah.
It's like someone being around a bunch of musicians that's not a musician,
Yeah.
and they start talking about gear, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
yeah. And so, oh man, maybe this has been eye opening for me, because I don't do gear either. Like how we talk about like all these hobbies that either I'm super involved in or even excel at. I don't dig in. Maybe I'm just a weird surface level. Maybe I'm
You're
just
shallow. Ben's shallow.
Maybe I'm super shallow.
There's one way I've described Ben for years. I've always told people very shallow,
Very shallow.
very shallow guy.
Very shallow.
But like he'll start talking to me about guitar stuff. I love playing guitar. I think I'm okay at it.
Yeah.
And I'll have no idea what he's talking about ever when it comes to pickups or anything. And I'm like, well, you should probably tell me more about that, because what are you saying?
Yeah.
Like it's something that I'm super invested in, but at the same time, not at all invested.
You don't have that geek out factor. Like I ran into that with DJs too, and I like gear, but and I have good gear, and I'm always been of the mind, like, don't ever be limited by your equipment and what you can do.
Oh yeah.
But it's usually like the newer DJs that just want to talk about gear, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's not. I mean, that's like a means for me, but that's not what I'm focused on. Like,
Yeah, it's the music's the point.
Yeah, the
it's
music's
not
the
what you're
point.
making it on.
But yeah, I find that a lot. So I could see that with the tattoo kind of hobby group.
Oh yeah.
because I'm super into the output of things, but I don't really care about how it got there. And I think that even ties into the thing I said about friends earlier, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like my best friend, but I don't dig into you, even though I feel like I know you better than I know most people in this
But you've
world.
learned a shit ton about him today.
Yeah. And so like,
Yeah.
but I'm like that with everything.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Like if
I'm gonna take a piss, but you guys keep talking. I gotta go so bad.
finally. No, that does make sense though. Like especially when you're like hanging out with buddies or whatever. Like
Yeah.
if you're just hanging out, just having fun, just doing your thing, then you don't really think to like. It seems like to get to the point where you're like, tell me something about your past. Where did you? It seems like you have to have some level of like either purpose or boredom to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like if you're just like hanging out and having fun, like it never occurs to you to be like, hold up, let's stop this activity real quick. Sit down. Tell me about your middle school.
Well, and sometimes it's honestly made me feel a little, I guess, less than, because I don't feel like I'm an expert in anything. You know,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can do things well because of repetition, but I don't feel like people like I don't feel like an expert. So like I said, I won't know about the gear you're talking about or all these tattoo artists or whatever hobby. Like I'm trying to think, I'm sitting here trying to think of something that I really know a lot about, and it's not much. I took when I went to HVAC school, I went through the motions, and I can do that stuff, but I can't explain it at all.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even understand it, but I know how I need to do something, and I know the output.
Well, I guess that's really all that really matters.
Yeah.
Like if you can make something, like you don't have to know how to like explain it or have to know how to make the part that made the part that made, you know.
Yeah.
As long as you can make what you're trying to make, that's all that counts.
So interesting. It's been very, and so this is one of the areas of life where I will feel like I'm lazy, because I don't learn things like, I don't learn things like that. But at the same time, I feel like I'm one of the, out of a lot of people I know, there are certain aspects of my life where I just feel like I'm in constant movement, like we were talking about. Like and so like when it comes to working out, like I feel like I have a great work ethic, and I usually excel at things I do with work. Like I move up quickly. And my output is high. But when it comes to studying on my own time, anything doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Ben usually just texts me because he doesn't like to use Google. So he'll be anything like nutrition wise or sometimes movement stuff, he'll just text me. I'm like, and literally like I'd say 60-70% of the time, because I don't want to be wrong, as we're talking, I'm Googling it. And so Ben calls me to get the answer. I know the answer, but I'm not confident enough to just give it right off the top of my head. So I Google it just to make sure I'm right.
You're like Ben's Google butler.
Totally.
Yeah. You're Jeeves. You're Ask Jeeves.
I am. I'm like the 2020 version of Jeeves.
You are.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I've told him this. This has been like part of the self-awareness that I've been making over the last couple of years. I don't learn from research, because I get so lost in I don't know what trail to follow, because it'll give me 30 trails.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be like, I'll feel overwhelmed. I'm like, nope, screw this. I'm just gonna call Phil.
That's how it goes down.
Yeah.
And then like I have a friend who I know is an expert at something, and then I'll call them for their expertise.
Oh yeah. That's the best part about having friends that's expert at something.
I started doing research on podcast setup and streaming and stuff like that. And so in fairness, I did the same thing as Ben does in certain areas. And I just called my buddy Sangdo, because I know he knows how to do it. And he just like walked me through it. He saved me God knows how many hours of research to just like get things rolling. So him a big one.
Well, I was thinking about that recently, actually. Like, on a similar note of when I was a little kid, I played sports because your parents put you into a sports team. It was never like, oh, I want to play soccer, or it's just because I'm a kid and that's a sport and that's what you do. And I hated it. I hated playing sports. It was the worst thing. I never wanted to do it. And I never like took lessons in anything. And then I started taking guitar lessons And it was like, oh, that's why you take lessons, because someone knows how to do the thing.
Yeah.
They tell you how to do the thing, and now you know how to do the thing. And it was like, holy shit, I've been watching all these YouTube videos, I've been reading stuff, and nothing went through. But just like if somebody can just, if they have the knowledge and they can be like, oh, you just do this, and then you get that. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So dude, so now anything, I'm like, where can I take lessons? What can I,
I'm the same way.
and it just started out of nowhere. I never even, probably because I never did it as a kid, like I never even considered like, that's why people take lessons.
Yeah, I think it's a longer learning process when you're totally self-reliant, and you may learn more, but you're right. Like there's some significant value in just finding an expert.
Oh, dude.
And having them fast track you a little bit, right?
Oh yeah. And I think it probably works better if you do build up in whatever it is you're working on, I imagine, like kind of a little base knowledge on your own, you kind of get used to it. But then once you have that kind of base level, when you're able to comprehend what someone else is talking about, then it's like, oh my God, download that in my head. Hook up the cord. I'm ready. It's so easy. It's unbelievably easy.
Yeah. And I think there's the other camp of people that are not, they're the opposite of the end of the spectrum, where they're not self-reliant at all. So they want to go. I've seen this with my wife, some of her nutrition clients, where they'll just signing up for a nutrition consultation is like all the work they're going to do. And then they come and sit down with her and expect to get all the knowledge, all the protocols, all the best practices. And then when it doesn't work, because they're not necessarily implementing, it becomes her fault. Her fault versus they didn't come in with a baseline. I think a lot of it comes down to intention, right? They wanted to check the box, say I have a great nutrition consultant, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get in better shape. But when it really comes down to it, you still got to do some baseline work if you're really going to take advantage of that meeting with an expert.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have to have like a goal.
I think so. Yeah,
it's like the same thing with like when people like college. Like now, it's like you get done with high school, you go to college.
Yeah,
but I think that like the only people I have ever known who going that route like did what it was supposed to were the ones that like, certainly I never would have been able to do this when I was younger, but the ones that were like, this is my goal, like I want to go to college to learn this, to do this, and they have like a path instead of just like, this is just what I do now and I'll just figure it out as I go.
I was the second one. This is what I do because I don't want to work.
Yeah, that's why I started taking some classes at Everett, and I was like, oh well, yeah, I guess this is what you do after high school.
Yeah.
And then obviously it did nothing for me because I had nowhere. I had no plan.
Yeah.
I was just there.
You were doing a thing to do the thing.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with like, I guess, learning anything. You know, like if you don't have like somewhere you're going with this, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's so interesting because when I went to Shoreline Community College, I did great. I had great grades, and when I did the HVAC schooling, I had like a 4.0. And so when I went back with an intention, I totally did well.
Yeah, because then you have the motivate, like you have the purpose,
and I'm paying for it.
Yeah, that's a big part.
Yeah, your mom's not paying for it anymore, right?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Then, oh man, and so I've still been trying to think of things I'm an expert at, and I'm not coming up with many.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. The one thing, which is funny because it's still because of Phil being an expert, or it's like people always come to me for weight loss because I did it.
Oh yeah.
And because I was successful with it, and I have like the output to prove it from a small time frame, which the hardest part to tell people is like, this is going to take years, right?
Yeah.
You tell that to everybody, but the reason I fast tracked it is because I obsess over my goals.
Right.
Like you don't, from watching other people, I haven't seen very many people go from 300 pounds to 220 in 8 months like I did. Like I haven't seen that very much, but I also don't see very many people working out 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week, which was a lot easier when I started in my, like when I was like 24, it wasn't as taxing, but even then So now I tell people to count their macros, and I still don't really understand anything about it other than here's what I tried and this works for me. But why does it work? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, why do you have to have this ratio? I'm like, well, Phil says that.
Here's his number. If you have any questions, just text him. He'll Google it for you.
And
That's exactly what happened.
and so I'll be like, well, and so I'll act like I did the research, obviously myself, but I'll be like, oh, well, you're different. People do keto because they use fat as their energy supplement or whatever. Yeah. And people, if you do high carb, you have to do low fat because they're like combating energy pathways, whatever. That's probably not even right, but it felt right when I said it. So
I believe you.
but so now I just follow the Carb Manager app, and it gives you the different workout.
Breaks it down for you.
It's like if you want to do the zone diet, this is your ratio. If you want to do keto, if you want to do low carb, if you want to do moderate carb, and so I don't know how to get there. I just type in my weight, my height, my age, and it tells me what I need to do.
Yeah. Technology, man. It's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It is. It really
Love
is.
it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's good.
So another thing I'm not an expert at is podcasting, right?
No.
And so we're presently in quarantine.
Kind of.
Yeah, I know, totally, kinda.
Well,
except you're hanging out with us,
Yeah.
which is
But and I'll be honest, I don't know how it's been. Well, I know because we had this conversation early on. Because I'm not going to tell anybody what they need to do for themselves. But my whole thought process is live a healthy life, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I feel like I need to say it. Like life is a risk. Everything you do in life is a risk, and especially with like a pandemic, whatever, especially with the disease that we're probably all going to get. And no matter what, when you leave your house, there's a chance you don't come back to your house. No matter what you do in life, if you could go to jiu-jitsu and somebody move wrong and then you don't wake up, that's why you sign waivers.
That can happen.
I can't tell you how many times I get so wrapped up in a workout where I hit my chin and the top of my head with a barbell with like 150, I'll have 155 pounds and then just hope nobody saw it. And I'll like hit my chin on the way up and then I'll drop it on my head. You know what I mean? Like,
that's cool.
At any given time, doing a lot of, especially with like crazy stuff like CrossFit or martial arts or whatever, or at any given time, one little mishap and you're dead. And so from my point, I'm like, okay, well, if we're all going to get it, I'd rather just get it out of the way. But so I didn't, other than the fact that I couldn't work, I kept living my life. Like that's why when I brought you my guitar and my amp, I was like, I hung out, I shook your hand. I didn't even think, and I feel kind of bad for it now because people are like, ooh.
I know.
You do. That is really weird, actually. It's just second nature.
Yeah.
I know. I shook your hand when you walked in today.
Yeah.
And so I would always talk crap.
I did disinfect the weed implement.
I mean, but that just makes sense even if you're not in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like,
unless you're trying to kiss. Which I'm not so.
But so for me, it didn't change much. Like I gave Phil a lot of crap for this because I'd be like, man, let's hang out. And then, and I get why people were like, well, no, this is, because the media makes this big deal of something. But, I guess if I never worried about what happened with my life before, why would I care now?
Yeah.
But so
I've done way dumber shit.
Yeah. But so during this, I guess, how has it been for you? Because for me, I didn't change anything.
Yeah, I'd imagine a big part of your social outlet is also the shop, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so you're going from this place where you get to be creative, to a certain degree every day, socializing, probably you're probably one of the rare few that looks forward to going to work.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just doing art and hanging out with buddies.
Exactly. Yeah, how's it been since that's just been shut off?
Honestly, it hasn't been that bad. I've had like way more time to like work on music.
Yeah.
Like Ben was saying, me and my neighbor, she's an amazing vocalist. So we've been working. We've kind of been slowly kind of building up to just getting some ideas together. I think Tuesday will be the first day we actually get some vocals recorded.
Right on.
But then me and actually a buddy of mine that I mean, with total different work schedule. So we would hang out maybe every few months or something, get together. I mean, he lives like 5 blocks away, but we just rarely ever got time to hang. And now it's every day. We've just been going for bike rides and playing darts.
Yeah,
it's been super cool. So I don't know. It's for me. It's been pretty awesome.
It's probably been a nice vacation from the day to day. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably pretty terrible for a lot of people, but I'm pretty lucky, man.
Some people are going crazy, and
it's been like a summer vacation, pretty much.
Yeah, and then other people are having an amazing time, and like I think the theme, regardless of who you talk to, is, and whether you want it or not, the ability to kind of step back, recalibrate, slow down a little bit, maybe reprioritize has been really healthy for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think if maybe if you're like the kind of person that can't adjust to like a new situation, like just that change, not even like the virus or anything, just the change alone is already such a big hit, and then you got all this paranoia on top of it. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you can just kind of roll with it, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's something just super unhealthy, I think, psychologically about walking down the sidewalk. I do this, because I take him out on 4 walks a day, walking down the sidewalk, approaching somebody who is looking at you. They have a mask, and they see me, and I'm not going to wear a mask outside. I try to wear a mask in crowded areas and be
they go into a store, throw on a mask, whatever.
But like, these people are looking at me like I could kill them. And not because I'm a bald guy who looks like I have a mean dog, but it's like I could be carrying this. I know he's so mean. I could potentially be this virus carrier that they could take back to their house, and it's really changed even the most subtle human interactions out on walks. It's been crazy for me to kind of watch the psychology of certain people fall apart, and the psychology of other people like you guys. That's why I was totally fine having you in here, because I know you know Ben, and I think we can assume we're kind of in the same mind. Like, we got to get shit done. We got to live a little bit, and we're trying to be as safe as possible, but we're also not going to stop creating and stop being social, and
Oh yeah, I mean, at some point you got to.
Or
move
then
on.
I get in a really dark place, honestly.
Oh yeah,
and I think, and maybe it's because I doubt Sawblade has dove into social media much more.
Dude, I think that's a big part of it.
Yes.
Because for me,
I don't see any of it at all.
Okay,
and
that's probably the smart thing.
And I don't listen to the news either.
Well, don't do
I
that.
don't either.
So it's so my whole world only exists of like my contact with the outside world is just like whatever I'm talking on the phone with a friend or texting, or
and then
something.
your
So,
wife, right? Like,
so it's pretty. I mean, it's probably pretty sheltered and enclosed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't hear all that extra stuff to stress about.
And so I was talking to another buddy about this who's taking naturopathic medicine, and he was just saying, he was like, well, the virus is definitely real. It's like, well, yeah, I believe that it's real. Yeah. And he was going into, he was like, man, I just feel like this is one of the biggest hoaxes in our history. And I think, and the more I look at, like, I'll dive into social media just to kind of see what people are saying a little bit, and the things that are happening around, even around just our country, like there's some crazy things that are happening for unexplained reasons, and they seem super shady. And so with him, I'm like, yeah, I could totally agree. But the thing that's crazy to me is the spirit of fear. And I think that, and I made a little funny meme. I thought it was funny because it was like,
well, I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny, but somebody might get offended. So I was looking around at people, and you just see everybody with their head down, buried in their phone, right, wearing a mask.
Oh yeah.
And so what that, to me, I sent it to him. It symbolized to me was like, keep your mouth shut and keep your head down. Like, don't look at what's going on in the world around you, and just shut up. And so, like, I saw it as a symbol of, like, you don't have freedom of, like, you're not free to talk up about whatever you feel about whatever, and you are totally sidetracked by this piece of technology.
Yeah.
Because it is so great, but at the same time, we walk around. I'm like, man, it's such a beautiful day, and you just see people wearing masks buried in their phone.
Yeah.
When I'm like, oh man, I'm getting this vitamin D. I'm enjoying this life, and so it's crazy to think of. And then you see the rants people go on either extreme on either side.
Oh yeah,
Either side.
And you're
Yeah.
like, you're like, yo, like people are truthfully terrified about what's to come. Like, whether it's the conspiracy theorists or the other side who are like people who are like, I need to wear my mask. I need to stay 6 feet from you. I
Who
need
are
to
like
disinfect my
hyper
groceries.
vigilant about compliance. And the funny thing is the compliance continues to change week over week, or the recommendations change week over week. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then there's the people that are bullying each other either way.
Yeah.
Like you see these videos of the people in the New York stores where people are getting shamed for not wearing their masks, and people are like, crowds of people are like, you need to get the hell out of the store. 'cause you're not wearing a mask.
But yeah, then you're seeing people
Maskers
get shamed
only.
for wearing masks,
Yeah.
masks too, right? And it's been a weird thing.
everybody's so scared.
I know.
Yeah.
Everybody's like either side. We're like one's scared that the government's like trying to imprison everybody,
Yep.
and the other's scared that everybody's got a virus that's gonna kill them.
Yep.
And it's like,
And then you go.
Where do you
into,
go?
Like, that's not even going into the whole deep state. Like,
oh yeah.
And so
It's-
you're thinking about all that stuff. I'm like, man, this whole time, like people are so invested in this and making big decisions based off of fear.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many people told me not to buy a house right now. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? This is when you want to buy it.
and I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, the entire economy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care about that because I know that I want to have something to call my own that I can fix up. I want a place to dwell where, like this is where I want to set my roots, and whether or not my job is flourishing, as long as I can pay my bills, I don't care about,
Yeah.
I don't care about the investment value. I don't care about any of that. I want a place where I can call home, where I can have buddies over, where I can make music, make podcasts, whatever. I want that kind of thing. And I'm not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow with anything, because that's just not my frame of mind for life
what a
in
waste.
general. But I don't know.
It'd be terrible.
It can pull some energy away from you. It can become crippling, I think. I mean, for me, I've been through phases of almost being a little bit crippled, from like what's going to happen. Like this whole thing has made me more sort of moody and made me more aware of my moods. And a lot of it is not stuff that normally makes me moody. It's this external stuff that's coming at me, and I'm paying attention to. I guess that's the key. I'm paying attention to this stuff that I shouldn't be on both sides, and just being bombarded with this tribal opinion about
Well, and then I mean, it's crazy to think about the three different worlds we live in, right? So if you like look at your tech, like your high level tech people, so just the circles you see from just like work, or like how you said the circle you're seeing, and then Michelle's working at her job, like, and so all the stuff I see from her job, and then at the HVAC world, and so all these different, it's funny. I feel like a lot from like a lot of the higher end like tech, a lot of the tech people I've met with and we've done jobs for are super paranoid. It's a generalization, but
I agree.
But all these people who society would see as like the more like the intelligent group or whatever,
the more accomplished,
and then the lower or the opposite end of the spectrum is like, you're not going to take my rights away that easy. Like I've got to feed my family. I've got to do this, got to do that. Like you can't just say, hey, well, now your life has to change for this.
Shutting it down with no plan. Like, I get it, but I got to go to the grocery store and
but I still got to live my life. Plus, you're not going to tell me what to do. So there, you know what I mean? So there's
thanks.
It's so interesting to look at all these different aspects and see how in different social circles, how differently people respond. Because you go to my job and they say, if like most of the crews, like you tell them to wear a mask, they're like, all right, you're going to have a different crew out here. Because I'm not gonna work in an attic wearing like, unless it's like an N95 mask, but I'm not gonna work a 12-hour day like with this this whole thing where I can't breathe.
And if you wear glasses, forget it. Hope you like fog all day long.
Well, I was going to ask you, so you guys are probably already talking about new protocols, safety protocols at the tattoo shop. Are you guys going to be expected to wear a mask? Like,
yeah, we're gonna have to do
masks. Well, you guys already do gloves. I mean, honestly, like a tattoo shop is probably one of the safest, most sterile. A good tattoo shop to not get a virus, right? You guys clean the shit out of everything. You guys are super conscientious about cross contamination and blood and all this stuff. But are you guys going to have to add masks to the whole scenario?
Yeah, and it is pretty lucky, I guess, with all the stuff we do already.
Yeah,
I think
not a big
we're compliant.
Yeah, with all the protocol that's now required, I think the only two things we'll have to change is we'll have to have some sort of like a disposable apron type thing, and then a mask,
and then maybe some limits on how many people are in the shop at once.
Yeah. So we can only have just the person getting tattooed, so no friends or relatives or anything.
Got it.
Which honestly is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's the most annoying part of all of it. Well, I don't know. Some people's guests are cool. There's a family that I tattoo, and they all come in together every time, but they're always a blast to hang out with and chat with.
But like the 6 sorority girls who are coming in, and one's just getting the Brianna tattoo, and the other 5 are there just looking at the books and talking.
Dude, or the soccer moms. Dude, the soccer mom that comes in to get a little bitty rose like that big or something, or just like
on the
an initial or something. Yeah. Dude, she'll have 6 friends with her in the process that should take in and out the door tops 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude, they'll be there for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you'll put the stencil on, and then one of the friends will be like, well, I think maybe it should be over here. And she'll be like, that's good. I didn't think of that. So you move it over, and the other friend's like, well, but have you thought of this? And then, dude, you'll spend an hour changing a stencil. There was one lady, dude, get this. So there was this one group of, I can't remember what they did. They all worked together or something. This group of gals that came in, probably, I don't know, mid 30s to mid 40s, right in that range somewhere. So they were all just getting like little bitty things, teeny tiny. Probably once the stencil's on till you're wrapping it up is 5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
One of them was so I don't know if it's because of all the TV shows or because it's such more of like a fashion thing now. She was so anxious about every part of the process that just trying to figure out where to put the stencil, not even tattooing, just to put a stencil on. And I'm telling her, I'm like, if you don't like it, I can wipe it off. It's gone. We'll put it somewhere else. You're good. Check it out. Takes no time. But just the process of doing that, dude, she was like, I need to sit down. I need to call him. Dude, she had to call her husband. She was crying. It was this whole ordeal. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening, dude? Like, if that's how you're feeling, you should not be getting tattooed.
Right. Yeah.
You should not even be here. Like, this is not for you. And that's like, it's not super common, but dude.
Well, and then you start going down this path. I bet you do at some point. Like, what does the rest of your life look like? Like, if this is going to the grocery store with this,
I don't want to meet that lady's family.
No,
I bet it's
man,
horrifying.
Yeah,
terrible. I bet they're really well put together, but I bet every scene is just.
I can't imagine. Yeah, the different varieties and different flavors of people. I imagine coming through there. It's got to be.
Oh yeah, I mean most people that come in are really cool.
Yeah,
but the bad ones are bad, dude.
That's funny. Hey, that made me think of a conversation do you remember the cakes conversation we had?
The cakes?
How I told you about we were talking about slang, and I was like, oh yeah, like cakes for butt. And his eyes lit up, and he was like, oh my gosh, now I understand why I've tattooed that on so many
dude, I
women.
didn't know that cake was, I didn't know that meant like a butt.
Explain this to me.
Cakes, like,
I'm
got booty.
So you'll have to explain this, Ben, because
she got booty. She got cakes.
So it's called cake. Cakes, plural, or
she
cake?
Got cakes plural.
Okay.
Yeah.
But where does that come from?
It's a hip hop.
Want to take a bite of that cake?
Yeah, I had no idea.
It's a hip hop thing. Yeah, it's just talking about a nice ass. Oh. And so I must have been like, oh yeah, she had cakes or something along those lines. And he was like, what do you mean? And then I explained it, and then he was like,
yeah, it was like,
I have tattooed that on so
many cakes.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
I had no idea that a cake was a thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I haven't done one
It was like
more recently, but definitely for a while there was a lot. And I was like,
it
what the
was
fuck is this? Cakes?
it was
Like on your butt? Like,
It was super.
that makes sense now.
Super popular from like in the hip hop world from like 2012. I can think of 2012 to like 2016, 2017.
yeah.
Like it was used a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was used a lot.
Yeah, I had no clue. I just was like, this is a weird trend.
Another cake.
Yeah. Some more cake, I guess.
That's so weird. I
Another
didn't know that either.
slice.
So strange.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Well, so how I know we've been talking for a while, and I don't want to keep everybody, but I mean, as far as I feel like we got a pretty good handle on maybe where Sawblades come from. I mean, there's a lot of layers to the onion that I think we could unfold, and we got an idea of your present existence today. You know, and this could be tattoo related or not. I know we've talked a lot about a tattoo and tattoo art and doing that because I had no idea the world. You know, I don't pay attention to the tattoo world, but is there something like future that you ultimately want to either with tattooing or with
Just in
music?
life in general.
Yeah,
Like-
life in general. Like,
Oh, I don't know.
like what's the thing, or do you have the thing yet, or are you trying to work that out? That was, I know I gave you the kind of the questionnaire talking about like your legacy, your vision, things that you want to leave behind. Like, what do you want to be known for? Anything that comes to mind? And it's all right to not have an answer.
I don't know. I mean, I was talking with my wife about this not too long ago. She had brought up some article or something she was reading about like people's like life expectancy now, like how it's getting longer.
Yeah.
And how in the article, like the main kind of purpose or point of the article was like talking about people's career paths.
Yep.
How right now, for the most part, once somebody, and certainly in the past, once somebody gets into a career, like that's their career. Like that's like you tell anybody the word career, like they're gonna think, oh, that's a lifetime's work. You know? And I guess ever since that, I was thinking like, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I really like tattooing, and I could easily do it the rest of my life and be stoked. But I don't know. I think there will be something after tattooing. Like I don't think it's going to be like my last like career that I do.
Okay.
I don't know what it would be. Anything else, but I don't know. I feel like I got into it when I was 21, and I would definitely like to spend quite a bit longer doing it. But I think it would also be cool at some point to learn something else, you know?
Yeah.
Become somebody that, you know, has a career and whatever else it might be. I don't know. But I don't think tattooing will be the last thing.
The end game for you.
Yeah. Cause I think now people can do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can have a rad career and then you can be like, well, I'll try this now. And
Yeah.
you know, I think there's so much more freedom like that these days.
And so, okay, so that's career wise. What about home? What about like you and Andy? What about I guess outside of work? Like, do you guys want to have kids? Do you guys do you have a goal set? Do you have any like what are your goals?
So during the stay at home, one thing we definitely realized is that we both really want a dog. So that'll be, I think we've decided that when things get back to whatever level of normal they get back to, that'll be probably one of the first things is getting a dog.
Nice.
I really want a dog. So, I mean, as far as goals, I guess that's that's where we're at now. Yeah. I don't know, you know, like get a house or something like that someday.
Sawblade wants a puppy.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the title. Sawblade wants a puppy.
Sawblade wants a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
No, man, dogs change everything for the good. Like everything's better having a dog around.
Right? I had dogs all growing up.
Same.
And then after when I moved out, just, you know, moving around to apartments and stuff, I certainly couldn't like take care of an animal.
Yeah,
but now it's like,
yeah.
And you
You
had
know,
friends
I
like
can.
me who tried.
yeah,
And
I
you're like,
learned from
"That's
Ben's
why-"
mistakes.
That's why I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I told you this, and I won't belabor the point, but you know, the only time I haven't had a dog was with my wife. You know, when we first met, because she was so scared of dogs.
Yeah.
You know, and now she realizes what life is like with a dog, and she'd never go back.
It takes meeting that one dog.
Yeah.
My wife also, she grew up having a dog, but she was like super scared of dogs. Like when we
Yeah.
first met, she was really scared of dogs. But then one family that she worked for has this little dog called Freya, and it's this little white puffy. It's like a. It's called a Japanese Spitz. That's the kind of dog that she wants to get, and it's like a. What are those? Are they called like a miniature Eskimo or something? What's the
Klikai. Or do you remember the dog I had that I bought for the girls that I ended up giving to my mom? It was American Eskimo Klikai.
Yeah, so basically it looks like a slightly smaller version of that is what this dog is.
Okay.
But after working for this family that had this dog, that was it. It was like meeting the right dog to like introduce you into the dog world, you know. Yeah. And then ever since then, she's like, she loves dogs.
Well, and then it just opens the door. Now my wife is like, because the last thing she would have wanted is a pit bull for her indoctrination into dogs. But now she'll see like little dogs and she'll be, oh my God, that Chihuahua's so cute. And then she'll see these giant dogs and she's like, oh, those Mastiffs are pretty attractive dogs. Like before she was just afraid of everything, even the little ones. So yeah, you're right. I think it does. That's a good point. It takes meeting the right dog in the right situation to kind of change people's frame on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're so wonderful.
They're so wonderful. They make everything great. Yeah.
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 Anyway, that was one of the annoying things I noticed that I did in our first podcast is I was really into a conversation, I said, yeah.
I do that too.
And then I realized it's probably super endearing in a real conversation. Very annoying when you're being filmed. And that was one of the vulnerable moments when I was watching the first podcast, and I'm trying to consciously not do it now, but I was like, oh, that's so distracting. And that's all I could focus on is how quickly I would say, yeah, yep, right.
Totally.
It also comes from that world of sales.
Oh yeah, you gotta keep them engaged.
You're continually trying to reinforce, right? Get an agreement.
Yes, positive nod.
Well, and so when I was training people to sell, I would go over. We call it parroting, right? So you would say something, and then I'd say it back to you, or I'd paraphrase it to show you that I'm engaged
and listening. Yeah,
and listening. You know what I'm saying? And so I would do that, and you tell people, you train people on how to do that because it'll open the door and it'll make them, it's active listening, right? You're like, oh, they're actually paying attention to what I'm saying. And I would actually have them write out exactly what they said and show them like, okay, you want to fix this because your mom tripped over this. Yeah. Oh, and then she did it. And it helps open up people.
Oh yeah.
And so
it'll keep them talking and they'll, that's the thing. Like the more you can keep them engaged, the longer you can keep them going, the more you're going to get out of them.
And the more agreeable it is, the more yeses they start saying, and then the more you condition them to give you positive feedback.
Yeah.
And so they become conditioned at this point to where they're like, and you're like, so this is what you said, right? Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And this is what you need because of this, right? Yeah. Okay, well, since you need this, it's going to be X. And since you said you wanted to do this as well, and so you emphasize the needs and the wants that they said, and you just agree and you really hammer those home. And then so they realize like, whoa, what I want is stupid money. But what I need is not as stupid. And so I can make this manageable, right? And then I'm going to do this. And so then you go from like a $15,000 sale because you showed them everything down to a $10,000 sale where they're still getting a lot, but you made them feel like that was a necessity, and it seems better than the $15,000 because, oh man, I just saved $5,000 by not doing that part. And so then these little positive feedbacks and little conditioning moments where these people, next thing you know, you're walking out with a check, and then,
Well, yeah, and like if you're like repeating what they say back to them, like like the active listening and stuff like that, then you're not giving them a pitch; they're giving themselves a pitch.
Yes,
and you're just. So at that point, they're just telling you, this is what I want, and that's it.
I think if there's one secret, I'm going to sum this part up because I've learned this. I've been in sales for 22 years, and I'm not saying I'm a great sales guy necessarily. I've done all right, but I think if there's one takeaway from this, it really is so many people don't know how to reinforce and listen, and they're so self-conscious. I wonder what this person's thinking of me right now, that when you can just get past that, get through that a little bit and make it about the person who's talking, it changes the dynamic entirely to the positive, right?
Yeah, totally.
Because truthfully, your job isn't to, well, this is all the features. And I mean, you have your feature sales guys, and then you have your sales professionals, right? So you need these features because you need these. That's one type. And I think like the other thing is to piggyback on that is by asking questions, because when you focus the shift, or when you shift the focus on them, then it doesn't matter what you're selling.
Everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, their favorite topic is themselves.
Ooh, I can attest to that.
and if you can feed that in a way that they just walk away, oh, Ben was so nice, he was so interested in what I had to say, and just really seemed to hear me. And people want to be heard. They want it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and maybe this came from doing sales for both of us, but I think like that's the whole theme behind this podcast is we really do want to, like, I honestly do want to learn about people. And it might be because you're like one of my best friends that I was like first people on the list. I was like, yeah, Sawblade.
Yeah.
And like,
Easy peasy.
like, oh, let's pull him. But the thing he would talk about, and the reason why I think that the potential for this podcast could be great is because a lot of people really are curious and they really do want to know people. But at the same time, a lot of people want to talk about themselves. So it could really open up into cool avenues. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like a skill to learn, I think, like learning how to ask somebody questions. Like in tattooing, like that's, like, yeah, you have to learn so much of that, because if someone comes in with, like, they have in their head, like, what they want, but, like, so many people have such a hard time, like, saying what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to, like, massage it out. You got to coerce it. Like, you have to, oh, so you want to do like this or like this, or you give them a suggestion, and then you be like, oh, well, you like this, so what if I like this? And you have to guide them through every part of it. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't naturally really know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of, like, you could totally show somebody, like, draw a stick figure, like, this is exactly what you said. Well, no, I don't. That's not what I want.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So why don't you tell me a little more about what you actually want?
Actually, you do have to do that every now and again.
Yeah.
Be like,
because this is what
you're not giving me anything.
This is what I'm hearing. like now you need to put some vision to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine part of your existence. Well, you're just like any sales guy. Your time's money, right? And if you're sitting there mired in this client's indecisiveness, you have to lead them down the path. You can't necessarily push them, but you can hold their hand and say,
yeah,
no, I think we're going this way.
Yeah. And I think even just having somebody in whatever it is, like, if you can like show someone that, like, oh, I'm doing this with you and we're doing this together, and like it takes away a lot of like that anxiety I think people get, and a lot of, whether it's you're buying a car or you're getting a tattoo or whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
If whoever's selling to you is like, I'm your friend, let's do this together.
Yeah, we're Team Sawblade.
Yeah.
We're going to do this tattoo together. You're going to love it, Marcy.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah.
And all your friends, Gina and Sandy and Sally, they're all going to love it too.
You're going to love it. Once you get the stencil figured out, you're going to love it.
I don't know why I always use Marcy, but it just
I was just about to
Classic
say,
Marcy.
I can't tell you how many times where he's used Marcy.
And do you know a Marcy?
I don't.
I was going to say, I've never met anybody named Marcy in
I've
my
actually
life.
only ever heard of Marcy in, like, maybe like a book or a movie. I've never met a Marcy.
I met a Marcy in elementary school, but she wasn't, no offense, Marcy, if you're ever listening to this, but she wasn't anything remarkable. I just, for some reason, that's my go-to. That's my go-to,
Instead of Karen.
Do you know what Marcy is? Is Marcy the name, or is that short for something?
Great question. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I know a girl named Marcella.
Okay, you might call her Marcella Marcy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Marcella would be a Marcy, but
Yeah.
I think there's some like people just straight up named Marcy.
Weird.
Yeah. Who knows?
Marcy's. Strange.
So
Another thing we're gonna have to learn is how to wrap these up.
yeah, how to wrap it up.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Should we put them on the spot? Maybe like
put 'em
how
on the
about this? Let me put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Because this is either going to make this thing successful, at least our chat, or just make you look like a total loser.
Bring it on.
No, I'm kidding. If there was one thing that like people don't know about you that would be super shocked, like even the people kind of intimate in your life, like if there was one thing that they don't know about you, what would it be like? What would be the surprising little bullet point?
Surprising?
Something
Oh,
surprising.
man, that's tough.
And I just, while you think about this, I just wish people knew that your earring is a Viking ship.
It is a Viking ship. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
It's a golden
Yeah,
Viking ship.
it is.
So there's one.
The one in
so
the-
now you can't use it.
This one.
Oh,
here
that
is
one.
well, you can't really see it because the.
Oh, okay,
That's
that's
on.
cool. I didn't
Yeah.
even see that. Yeah.
Man, something people don't know.
This is a flop up
Dude,
question.
that's so hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what would people not know?
The prime numbers thing was very surprising for me.
Maybe like a secret hidden skill or something.
Yeah, maybe. Or yeah, I don't know. We can always come back and do it again some other time. We
Yeah,
can
that's a
think
hard
about it.
one.
We can
What's
think about it.
something? Ben, what don't you know about me?
So I know that he loves fantasy. He loves like the Tolkien
do,
books.
yeah. Those are
and,
great.
Okay, you're a big fantasy. That's a good one though,
But-
right? Like,
and,
Yeah.
Big
and he
fantasy
knows
guy.
like he knows like the sub stories and the like he knows all the super well how I was telling you, like he knows all the guitar stuff that I have no idea about. He knows all the
dwarfs and orcs and
the dwarfs and orcs, the fantasy stuff, but he knows like he'll even tell me like about the map and the history and the and then I imagine he's into the card. You're into the card games, right?
Oh, like Magic the
like
Gathering.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the
I
Gathering.
do like Magic the Gathering.
Then there's-
I would have never guessed. So that's a good one.
I'm not a good deck builder though. Ian is the supreme deck builder. He beats me every time.
It's funny that you're having troubles finding the answer to this question, but the more we talk about it, the more stuff is just like coming.
Yeah,
out
and,
that
and
would
that's the
have never-
thing is like I guess anything that you know about yourself, it's like
You assume it's not
surprising.
remarkable,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's like
And
yeah.
so then there's the prime numbers. I remember mathematics was something you really wanted to dig into for a while. He's super into building motorcycles, old like Hondas.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
The
I like
cafe
doing that.
racers.
Yeah.
Dope.
Oh, what else? I'm trying to think. So he's super into music. Plays all sorts of instruments.
Ben's just giving me like five
yeah.
things that are.
And these are all the reasons why I wanted to bring you on. And we didn't talk about any of
But
this stuff.
here's the thing: since Ben knows those don't count as things people wouldn't
That's what
know.
I'm saying. So I'm
That's
trying
the hard
to
part.
I'm trying to dig it out of you.
well,
And
I
so-
didn't know any of this stuff.
So you're gonna learn
Yeah.
for a minute. So we have that. You hate getting tattooed just as much as I hate it.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It is awful.
Is it because it hurts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like having them. I hate getting them.
I wanna reemphasize. I was telling my wife because Ben had said something about that, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come out or not. That you don't like getting tattooed, and one of the reasons is because it's painful.
Yeah, that is the reason.
My wife and I were like, we were laughing about that last night. She's like, "Well, is he all tattooed up?" And I go, "No, I don't think he's got that many tattoos." And she's like, "Why not?" And I go, "Well, I think he said they hurt."
yeah, I've got my arms and then some on my legs and then one on my head. I don't have any torso or anything like that. It's just like I figured I can still lean on the crutch of like I got to get my arms finished before I get any torso done.
Nice.
But it's just, oh man, it just is. I can't think of a worse way to spend an afternoon.
So funny.
It's just terrible.
Going for the tattoo.
It's awful.
I love it. I've done some really long sits. I did like my biggest painful scenario, which you wouldn't have enjoyed, and you probably wouldn't have enjoyed actually doing the work because I did a Saturday for 12 hours. And then I did a Sunday for 11 hours, like the next
Damn.
day.
Oh, yeah,
I did
going back the next
my arm
day?
and then my leg.
Oof.
And just because my guy's in Vegas, so I flew down there and I just booked him for
Yeah.
the weekend basically. And I was so cracked out and it was so brutal. Like there were certain parts that were so painful and I'm still scarred from. I wouldn't do it again like that. It was
Yeah.
like 24 hours of tattooing basically.
Oh yeah.
It was rough.
I could. There were times like in my late teens, my early 20s, where I'd sit for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's a long sit.
I think the longest I'll sit now is like 2 hours. And
Yeah.
like Sawblade.
Oh yeah.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
finish whatever you're on right now because I am over this.
Yeah.
Yeah, my max right now. I mean, I could probably go for longer if I needed to, but if it's up to me, no longer than an hour. Hour tops.
Yeah.
Maybe up to 2 hours if it's something that we can just like get started and get done in one sitting. A couple hours I'm good with. Anything other than that, we can continue later. An hour is plenty.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was younger, it wasn't really a problem.
Yeah.
And I think I think this way with most people though is like the older you get, I don't know if it gets more painful or if you're just over it or what, but it seems the older you get, the less willing people are to sit for a longer period of time.
Another,
Yeah.
sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say another thing I wonder about is it's because I feel like our relationship is so close that I'm not guarded at all going into it. And so
Oh yeah, there's no like need to like look tough or anything.
You're not
It's
trying to be a tough guy.
Oh God, please.
I have nothing to prove
yeah,
at all. And so I'm like, yep, this sucks. Let's stop.
yeah, totally.
like,
You go into the ribs because that was my
Yeah.
that was like just constant
Well,
pain when
actually-
the rib work for mine.
right here on the ribs,
Yeah.
it's fine. I'll be like, oh, Sawblade, keep going. But as soon as you start going right by my
Oh, on the
stomach, right
stomach.
here,
Yeah,
Tender.
I'm like, no,
yeah, that's brutal.
stop it. It hurts.
Yeah,
Or like the sternum, when you were doing my sternum,
yeah,
sweating.
yeah. And that's the thing is like
Sweat
I
after,
like having
30
them,
seconds.
but is it worth it? I don't know.
And well, that's the funny part about like my back. I can't see it. I can't look at
And
it.
that's like solid coverage.
Yeah, and like we said, like 50 hours. he
Yeah, that
spent
took a
on my back.
long time.
And but I don't know.
Yeah,
Interesting. And so we got you don't like getting tattooed, the fantasy thing, the music thing, cafe racers. You love bombing hills on skateboards.
that is my that's definitely like my section of skateboarding. I never was good at tricks. I could skate a bowl decently, like carve around a bowl pretty decent, but yeah, bombing hills, that's where it's at.
You like
That's
do
fun
the
shit.
drifting and all that stuff with like the pucks
Dude,
and all
I've
that.
wanted to learn how to do that.
I got the gloves and the knee things and in fact this hill right here is pretty good for it actually. The hill
Oh,
right behind
dude,
the-
yeah. When I was coming up, there's been quite a few hills when I was coming up here that are all like super smooth and a really nice smooth like gradient at the bottom. Yeah, there's a lot of really
there were
nice
some
looking hills
dudes-
around here.
This is when I realized I've started to look old because there were some dudes I heard the other night around 11 up on the hill because every once in a while there'll be guys who figure out that this is a good hill to kind of drift on and to do the downhill ski on. And I came out there and they were like, oh fuck, we're gonna get yelled at by the neighbor.
It's gonna call the cops.
And I was like, hey, when do you guys come out usually? And they're like, why? And I go, because I want to skate with you, if that's cool. And they're like, oh, okay, we thought we were going to get yelled at. They're like 20 something,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, this is a good hill for it. And so guys figured this one out. And they come every like once a week now. I need to go out there
Nice.
and join them.
Yeah, that's rad. I've always wanted to try that. But yeah, I never tried any of like the glove. Yeah, but dude, it looks so fun.
So fun.
It looks like such a blast.
I'm not good at it, but every once in a while when you get it right and like you pop back up and it's really
Yeah,
It's really
that's
fun.
cool. That's way cool.
Interesting.
There you go. Should we wrap or what? What do you think?
I'm trying to pull out some other random.
We want like an exclamation point at the end of this?
No, but I'm just really now I'm just trying to think of my.
He's trying to
history,
end it with a
so-
comma, actually.
That would be more like my life. An ellipsis.
Yeah. What is that though?
What is that?
This is actually a conversation I have a lot. So an ellipsis, however you want to say it, period.
Oh, is that what that's called?
Yes.
I do that
Okay.
a lot.
And so when I talk to people about, oh yeah, when I saw the ellipsis, because when you text an iPhone, it goes with the ellipsis.
Oh,
And so I'm
okay.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say something for a half hour because I was watching this ellipsis waiting to make
Especially
my
when you're getting
point.
yelled at by your girl and you're just looking at your phone, you see that little bubble and you're like, oh, fuck, here
Or,
it comes.
or like somebody from work,
yeah.
and you know, it's like, why didn't you respond? And I was like, well, I saw the ellipsis, and so I was waiting for you to finish your thought. And they're like, what is an ellipsis? It's a period.
Well, that's interesting. I never knew what that was.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know there was even a name for that.
I didn't know there was a name for it either.
I thought it was just 3 periods in a row.
thought so too.
Yep.
Good to know.
So is that like if you like looked up like punctuation, like different types of punctuation, like in a book, it'll be like an ellipsis, and that's where
Yeah.
that's cool. I never
Yeah.
knew that.
Good to know.
It
Fun
is.
fact.
That one's a lot less commonly known than ampersand. When you say ampersand, like hipsters always know what an ampersand is, but a lot of people are like, no clue what an ampersand is.
That's the and, right?
Yeah.
Ba-boom.
Yeah.
That's the one.
See? Hipsters know it.
We know it. We're on top of it.
Would you consider yourself a hipster?
No. wouldn't.
Probably not. I think. I don't know. Maybe.
He sees a lot more hipsters than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get a lot of them. We get a whole lot of them.
Can imagine.
Oh man, for whatever reason, I just thought of how we were doing a waltz in the Bad Religion. When we went to Bad Religion, we were doing a waltz in the pit together.
And then what was her name?
Kristen.
Kristen got all mad.
She got jealous.
Was she embarrassed or was she?
Well, no, because Ben wasn't dancing with her.
Oh, he was waltzing with you. That must have been a sight.
But then her and him started talking about Pokemon on the way home.
Yeah.
And then that totally rekindled.
It was all. So you're a Pokemon enthusiast?
Dude, when I was a kid, the cards, the show, I was all about it. All about it. I loved it.
Dude, I had no idea you're so nerdy. That's
Well,
amazing.
Total nerd.
Complete.
Total nerd.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough to say, like, you're way nerdier than I would have expected.
Yeah.
I mean, in a good way. No judgment.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that might be something that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean, you have like the interest. I mean, besides some of this other stuff, you have like the interest of like a 12-year-old boy.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Magic the Gathering,
Skateboarding,
Tolkien.
Magic the Gathering, Pokemon. You're like a big 12-year-old with tattoos. People.
Completely. Yeah.
That's
That's why I had to become the tattoo artist. So at least there was that, at least the one side that was like not just like I'm way too old to be into all this other
justified,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, right.
Like if you were doing all that stuff and then just doodling at home, people would be like, yo, bro, you
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
get a real job and grow up.
Yeah.
But you're actually just doodling on people's skin. So everybody's like, you're a nerd, but
it's acceptable that way.
yeah.
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 I think
Otherwise, they'd be like, you need to see like a therapist.
And then from the outside, because you're wearing the way you dress and the fact that you work at a tattoo shop, people think you're probably this.
To look at me, people might think that I work for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
So that maybe that's the fact. You don't work for a living.
I don't do a thing.
Well,
Well, let's cue up the music and let's fade this out.
Yeah, keep it plugged in though.
Yeah, don't drop it, dummy.
oh man. Oh man.
His phone died.
I don't
Did
want
his
to.
phone die?
No, I got
That would be great.
We're trying so hard to make this work.
And there we go.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in, man.
My pleasure. This is fun. Let's do it again.
We'll do it.
do it again.
We'll definitely do a part two.
Next time we'll follow
Our format, but this is way
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, you know, who needs
this is more fun.
This is like college. It's an experimental stage.
Yeah.